This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome, boys and girls from Warrensburg Elementary and John C. Mayer Elementary. Welcome, karibu, to the Masai Mara Triangle up here in Kenya. My name is Steve and I'm joined on camera by Big James, and we're out in the wilderness on the Mara River. It is a beautiful 31 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. It's the hottest day that I've experienced since being up here. It is marvelous. We're sitting next to the river enjoying a little bit of a view of some birds and some crocodiles. Now please, boys and girls, remember this game drive is for you. Please let your teacher know what questions you have. Send them through. Look at that crocodile. He's been sitting in the sun all the day. He's like a big solar panel. And now he's nice and warm, fully charged. And in the water he goes. Well, very scary crocodiles. There's something about them that makes my nose twitch. I wonder if any of you feel the same. Specialists living in these rivers. This is the Mara River, beautiful lifeline, the heart and soul of this area, and the animals decide to cross here in their millions. Well, you'll be coming back to us very shortly. We're going to be sending you all the way down to South Africa with my good friend Taylor McCurdy.
Hello everybody and welcome to all of those wonderful children who have joined us. I am so excited to answer all of your questions. My name is Taylor and on camera with me today is Sebastian. Now we are driving around, like Steve said, in South Africa in a really special wilderness area called the Sabi Sand Game Reserve. Now there's hopefully going to be lots and lots of animals out this afternoon, because we had some rain yesterday and it was windy and freezing cold and it was just miserable, but now it's nice and warm. So hopefully some elephants and things like that would have gone down to the watering holes to have a nice drink of water, or maybe we'll just have to spot some animals. Then it could be anywhere around here. So that's the plan anyways this afternoon. Sebastian, where are we gonna go? I also don't know where to go and where to drive this afternoon. We did see some leopards. I know Tristan is going to go and find them again. You'll meet Tristan in a little bit, and he's heading in that way. So I hope that he does find you those cats. He's the leopard whisperer. It's amazing how they all just follow him around and no one else can ever find leopards, but as soon as Tristan's here, he can find them. There's one animal I'm going to show you just under that bush over there, trying to hide away from us. Look how sneaky it's being. In the shady spot is a very small antelope. Look there, it's hiding. That is called a duiker. It's just sitting down for a rest. And that's a little boy. But anyways, I'm going to send you across to Tristan. And I know, like I said, he's on his way to the leopards. Let's see how far he is.
Well, we are on our way to the leopards, but we haven't quite got there yet because I've been getting distracted with all kinds of things. And above me over here is something that's very small and very interesting. Now, it looks like a little nest for a bird that is being constructed. It is a fairly, I think, new nest because the grasses that are on there are not not damaged in any way. The leaves haven't been blown too much, and so I think the bird that is making this is busy making it as we speak. It might actually be, now that I look at it, a little bit older because it's difficult to see from where I'm sitting, but if I look closely, I can see that there's actually some little seeds on there. Now, the grass hasn't seeded since the summer last year, or the end of this year, end of the summer, which was the beginning of this year. And those little seeds would indicate that that grass is from that time. So it's actually older than I first thought. I'm surprised it's in as good a condition as it is, given how much wind we've been having. It should have been a lot more sort of tatty than what it is. But either way, very cool. Now, I forgot to even mention who I am and what we're doing out here, so I'm sorry about that. My name's Tristan. On camera, I've got David this afternoon, and I hope that you're going to enjoy your 45 minutes with us as we explore Africa. Hopefully, we're going to find lots of good things. Taylor said we're on our way to go and find leopards, which is what we are. And so that little nest that we saw now is probably for one of our smaller bird species. It's not going to be for a big bird, so I would imagine that whatever nest was being built there, it was either not completed, or for some reason it got damaged and the bird just abandoned building it, or the bird just decided it wasn't the right place, because given that there are seeds of grass from the grass, it should be a lot older than that and should be a lot better. Right, now while we head off towards where the leopards were this morning, let's see if we can find them. Send you back across to Steve, who's on the Mara River, and there's always lots and lots and lots of things happening there at this time of the year.
Welcome back to the Mara River. We have got a beautiful grey heron that is having a little bit of a bath. It's wet itself in the water and is now busy using its beak to scratch and to pick and to peel and to reposition all the feathers. It's something that birds have to do almost every single day, sometimes twice a day. They have to redo all their feathers. Feathers are like a zip. They have to zip them all back up again into the right place so that they are able to fly. So, but it has to be careful, because remember, we saw before a crocodile was lurking in the water there. And the crocodile, well, they could catch a bird like that. It's hiding. But these birds feed on fish. And so do the crocodile, for most of the time, feed on fish. There you can see a beautiful big river. Hello, Keenan. You want to know why African buffalo drink water near crocodiles? Well, Keenan, the problem is that where there's water in Africa, there's probably a crocodile. So I'd like to see how long anyone could go without drinking water. Unfortunately, we, as all of us as mammals, see how the crocodile was there a moment ago, and now it's gone. Unfortunately, we have to drink water. And the African buffalo, well, they have to drink water twice every single day. So they have to come down to drink. It's either drink or dehydrate. There's a crocodile sitting in the sunshine. Much better the ones you can see. So they have to come down and drink. Not just the buffalo, but many, all the animals have to come down and drink. And well, that is where the crocodiles hang out. So every now and again, they'll take advantage. He doesn't like being on camera, that one. He's going to move out of the way. Much better position. Isn't that a little bit scary? That very powerful tail. Perfect for swimming and pushing itself through the water. It's quite a small one. This was very small. They get twice, 3 times as big as that one. Hello, Samantha. Well, in these conservation areas, you want to know if we take care of the animals. Well, basically, nature does its thing out here, and we are here to watch and to observe. We're not trying to get involved. If, by any chance, an animal gets injured because of people, maybe a car or a fence or something like that, well then, most of the time, the conservation rangers will come in and will do something about it. There is a goose on the right, which is actually a duck, and on the left is a hammerkop, a very funny looking bird with a hammer-like head. But so if anything happens to them because of human actions, well then we will do something. But out here, if for example an animal is injured because it maybe tripped or it broke its leg in a hole or it got attacked by a lion and got away, well, that is nature, I'm afraid. And that is what happens out here. Nature will take care of it, and the predators and the prey, they live in this constant battle against each other. Aren't those two birds so pretty? Look at their reflections in the water. Locally in South Africa, the people believe that the hammerkop, that first bird we saw, likes to look at themselves in the mirror. They like their image, and they actually believe them to be quite bad luck. In fact, if a hammerkop flies over your house, they think it's bad luck down in South Africa. Up here, though, I don't think it's the same thing, but they're having a little bit of a dance in the water there, the two of them. Anyway, and Taylor down in South Africa, she's also doing some birding.
We were, but it has flown away. It was a beautiful eagle called a battalier eagle, but that's okay. It's a bird, it's got wings, of course it's going to fly. So we'll see what else we can find. Now, we checked a spot for a leopard, where there was a leopard this morning, but no luck. Hang on, where are my binoculars? They're somewhere here. Here they are. I thought I saw something. Let me just check. Did it move? I don't know what I saw, but it's gone now. Okay. Dave, I don't know what would happen if an elephant were to eat poison ivy. We don't get poison ivy here. And elephants have got a very, very different digestive system. So they can actually eat things that are poisonous. So if I were to eat something that was poisonous, I'd get very sick. But an elephant might not get sick from it. So it kind of just depends. So they've got a much... They're able to... trying to think of how to explain this. They're able to like eat lots of things that you and I wouldn't be able to eat. So you don't have to worry about that. But also the animals learn out here what they should and what they shouldn't eat. So they know. Sometimes they can get very sick though. But elephants can eat lots and lots and lots of different things. And there are some poisonous plants out here too. Hayden, now a warthog's favorite food is most likely grass. They like to eat lots and lots of grass. They will also eat, sometimes they eat roots. See, the only animals that I can show you today are maybe birds, but let's see. Oh, okay. Look at that starling, that's so cool. Well, that is a Cape glossy starling, and when it's in the sun you can see it's beautiful and blue, but it's in the shadows at the moment. You can see, and it's got a beautiful orange eye. How beautiful is that? They're one of my favorite birds. They're very funny. They make a sound like this. They remind me of cats. They always go, wee, wee. No, not going to make its call for us today. I wonder what's in there. What are you doing, starling? Is there food in there? Do you have a nest? I wonder. I'm very curious now. Maybe it's looking for something to eat. Could be little insects and things. Janet, no, we don't ever feed the animals. These are wild animals out here, so it's not a zoo. They can all hunt for themselves and or find their own leaves and grass and fruit and things like that to eat, so we don't feed them here. It's really bad if you start feeding wild animals, because then they stop looking for their own food and they rely on people. And then when people stop giving them food, then they don't understand why. One day you gave them something and the next day you didn't, and then they get angry. So you must never feed the wild animals. Just let them carry on. And sometimes you think that you're doing good by feeding the wild animals, but you might make them really sick because maybe they're not supposed to eat those things. Now, I think I'm going to send you to East Africa with Steve, and he has managed to find my most favorite animal ever.
We have got the largest land mammal in the world, boys and girls. There is the African elephant. It is a big one. It's not the biggest, not as big as they get, but it is a big male. And he's being quite shy at the moment, just showing his head bottom. But he's in the bushes. He's busy eating. And there we go. His tail is wagging now, shows that he's a bit relaxed. But we're hoping he's going to turn his head and show you how big his head is and those really big ears. Wow, Parker, you want to know if an elephant or hippo had a fight, who would win? Well, Parker, an elephant can get up to 14,000 pounds. Okay, now a hippo can maybe get up to 5 at the most, maybe 6,000 pounds. So it's definitely the elephant, African elephant, much bigger. He's also taller, and he's also used to using very big tusks that are in the front there. There's a water buck that's coming in from the left. It's probably come from the water from drinking. But the hippo, they've got a big mouth and big teeth, but they're not really able to fight an elephant very well, I wouldn't say. The elephant's just too big. There's a very beautiful water buck. It almost looks like a llama, doesn't it? Must be very hot in that jacket. And look behind. There's a zebra that just walked behind the screen. Did you see that, James? All the way at the back. A whole lot of zebra. Carly and Janet, do you want to know how long elephants live for? Well, they can live almost the same as people. In South Africa, maybe 55 to 60 years, and up here, probably about 60 to 65, because they don't have a dentist in the African wilderness. So what happens by the time they turn 45, elephants get their last set of teeth. That's right, they get more than one set of teeth in their life, and at 45 they get their last set, and then when they feed for the next 15 years, the teeth get very, very worn down, and eventually what happens is they can't chew their food. They get very skinny, and then they die. Unfortunately, that is what happens. So the very large elephants live up to 65 up here, because here they feed almost primarily on grass, whereas down in South Africa they feed almost exclusively on trees, and the trees take a little bit more of a toll on the elephant's tusks and on their body. And there's another zebra. Hello, Jessica. You want to know why baby elephant are born without tusks? Well, it's the same as why most babies are born without teeth. Essentially, they start off with no teeth, and the elephant's tusk is just an extension of one of their teeth, really. So as they start getting older, there's another elephant, the teeth start to grow. So in the beginning, there's no tusks, and as they start getting older and older, the tusks and the teeth start to develop, which is the case for all mammals. They start off with no teeth, and then they get, oh, there was a car. We're in the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle. Lots of people out here on Game Drive coming here to see the African animals. And we are showing you them live on this beautiful, beautiful TV screen that you're sitting with. And there is another big elephant on the other side. He's busy feeding, eating the grass, using his very, very long nose to grab at the grass and to pick it up and put it in his mouth. Okay, well, quickly we're going to go down to South Africa with Tristan, with one of the marvels of the African plains.
Indeed, it is one of the marvels. Now, it's not a leopard, but it is another spotty creature that is lying in the shade at the moment. So this animal would have been here because where the leopards were, they had a meal yesterday. And so this hyena has come into this area, probably hoping that it can find itself a few scraps from the kill that the leopards had, and so it was probably hanging around very close to where the leopards were. And then as the day gone on, it's gone a little bit hot, and so this guy has then found some shade to be able to lie down and rest. Now, it's actually not a guy, it's a girl by the looks of things. So hyena females are quite big, and they're a lot easier to be able to tell than the males. So they're quite thickly set and quite large. So Arabella, hyenas will mostly hunt when they do hunt, and a lot of the time in this area they scavenge and they'll look for food that leopards and lions have killed. But when they do hunt for themselves, generally at night. So hyenas are a lot more active at night than they are during the day. But if there's an opportunity to hunt in the day, they will take it. So if they come across maybe an injured animal, they might then try and hunt a little bit, particularly early in the morning and late in the afternoon. But if there's something around midday, they generally are sleeping. But sometimes you'll find them moving if, like I say, an opportunity comes their way. But most of their activity is around sunrise, sunset, and through the night. That's when they're on the prowl looking for food and trying to hunt and scavenge and do their thing. And what we have with hyenas is generally you have a clan of hyenas, which is a grouping that are all together, and they will then move around and kind of separate out. And so you'll find one on its own like this, and then another one that's over there. And if they find something, then they'll call to one another, and they can then kind of come together, and they can use each other to be able to chase off other predators like leopards and lions. And so it's not uncommon to see hyenas by themselves. Often people think that hyenas always walk around together, and even though they do live in a clan society, so a family group, they don't always spend their time next to one another all day long. Lots of the time they'll be separated like this, and they'll just be sleeping and having a good rest in the shade. This particular hyena obviously had a busy night last night because it looks like it's very tired and is not really moving too much at all. Now you'll notice with them is that they do have spots, like I say, and spots are very important for a lot of the animals out here. It helps them to be able to camouflage. So you can see that that hyena actually blends in very well in the shade. And the reason why it does well in the shade is because when light shines through a tree, there's going to be little bits of light and little bits of dark from the shadows, and the highlights that are kind of coming through there. Where the sun gets through the leaves is where it's nice and bright, and where there's a bit of shade is dark. And so spots mimic that kind of or that pattern, and so they actually blend in very, very well. So many animals out here have some sort of pattern that helps them to blend in their environment, and so that's why these guys do have spots. What you will find with them is that as they get older, generally their spots start to fade and they become a lot harder to actually see. The other thing that you'll notice with this hyena as it's lying down at the moment is that they've got very big ears. So you see that ear that's sticking up, it's a big round ear, and it's almost like a Mickey Mouse ear. You see now that it's put its head up? So those ears are also very important because they are active at night. They need to be able to use their ears and their noses a lot to be able to find the things that they need. And so you see there's a bit of a wind blowing, and that's why this hyena is just sticking up its nose, just listening, smelling, trying to figure out what's going on around it, and then be able to make decisions as to where it wants to go for the day. But it still looks very sleepy, and I don't think it's going to wake up just yet. I think its head's going to go back down. There we go. So Laura, hyenas, depending on whether or not they have babies, will determine where they live. So if they don't have babies, if they're boy hyenas or girl hyenas that don't have little cubs, then they are generally just find a place anywhere in the bush that's shady, and they'll settle down for the day and live there. Otherwise, they have an area called a den. Now, a den can be a hole in the ground, it can be a termite mound with a hole in it, it can be a pipe under a road, anywhere where they can have their babies that's nice and safe. And what will happen then is if there's a female that has her babies there, then you'll find a lot of the other hyenas will come and spend time at the den, particularly the other females. You won't see too many of the males. If they do come to the den, they lie quite far away because the boys are not really welcome at the den very much. They are told off by the girls, and so they have to stay a little bit further away. But that's where they'll go to. So they don't have one place that they will live. They kind of go around, and the dens, because the little ones will go to the toilet a lot, and because hyenas often bring food back to the den. Look at those teeth. See how big those teeth are? They've got really large teeth. Now it's going to scratch itself. Let's see if it's going to wake up and move off. Because they make a lot of mess, it often smells quite a bit, and so hyenas will then actually move dens quite regularly. So they'll just kind of move their little cubs from one little place to another, which is quite interesting. Now this one's got a little bit of an itch on the neck that it's busy scratching and trying to kind of ease. Hello. Right, now we're going to look around. I wonder if our leopards are still somewhere here. They might be, and so we're going to look around and see if the leopards are still here, and if that hyena does decide to move, we'll follow it for a little bit. And while we do that, let's send you back across to Steve, who's still on the Mara River, and I'm sure he's got lots of exciting things.
You know, they are the real jokers of the African wilderness. But here we have got the zebra and the wildebeest. It seems like we've been thrown into the movie The Lion King with all of them moving around. Let's hope they don't stampede, otherwise we're all going to be in a lot of trouble. But both of them, you can see long necks, right down on the ground, feeding on the grass, eating the grass. That's what they do. The zebra's just like a horse, painted horse really. Hello, Mrs. Roadcap. You want to know how long zebras live for? They can live for up to about 15 years or so in natural conditions. Not necessarily they will every time. It all dependent on the competition out here. Zebras, lots of them will fall prey to the lions and the hyena out here during the migration. But if left to their own sort of ways, they can live for about that sort of age, very similar to that of a horse. But maybe in captivity they could probably live a little bit longer. I don't know if you can hear the wildebeest around. They're making this very loud noise. Hello, Laisha. You want to know why zebras have stripes? A very, very important question, that. And there's lots of ideas behind why they have stripes. First of all, they look very cool, don't they? I'm only joking. Well, first of all, some people think that the zebra stripes actually act as a camouflage Now, can you imagine that? How can a black and white animal be camouflaged? Well, when there's 100, 200 zebra, and they're all standing together, moving together, it's very hard for a lion to see one of them on their own, because all those stripes make that sort of a very strange looking pattern, and the lion can't really see what's going on. And when the baby zebra stands next to mum, it disappears, and the lion and the hyena can't see it. So that works very, very well. There's a lot of other things people think it's to do with heat, that the black and the white stripes have different sort of things to do with the heat, because the black gets hotter and the white is a bit cooler, so it causes a little bit of sort of air conditioning on the skin. And there's another theory that people think the black and white stripes mean that less flies will bite them. And there's been a few studies to prove that that actually is very true. Look at that zebra on the left. She's very, very round at the belly. I think she's pregnant. She's probably got a little baby in there. You see how they sort of blend in together. They look very similar. And when they come close together, they're probably going to disappear. Look how when she moves, kind of like the stripes make a very strange little pattern, okay? Well, from one round animal all the way down to South Africa with the roundest of them all.
We do have the roundest of all the animals. It's the hippopotamus, and look at them, they're all sitting out in the sun because they're freezing. They need to try and warm up. Remember how I was telling you we've had some really, really cold days? And I think yesterday they didn't get any sun. And today they are making up for all of it. So instead of spending their day in the water like they normally do, sometimes you'll even just see them sitting out like this. Now they have to be very careful though. You know, like when you go to the beach or if you go to the swimming pool, your mom will tell you must put sunscreen on, otherwise you're going to get very burned. The hippos also have to be very careful, but they don't have to worry about putting any sunscreen on because their body produces their own. How cool is that? So they've just got sunscreen on all the time, and it's called, can you guess what it's called? I don't think any of you will be able to guess what it's called, but the common name is blood sweat. But the real stuff is called hipposudoric acid. But you don't have to worry about that word. But that's the sunscreen. And also in that stuff that they basically secrete out of their bodies is also got an antiseptic. So what that means is that if they get any cuts and scratches, they basically got medicine that is also going straight into those injuries so that they can heal a whole lot quicker. Isn't that smart? I'm kind of jealous. And that's a little baby hippopotamus. You can see there's lots and lots of little babies there. Now, they're not doing much right now. I think one of my favorite things to see around these hippos is look at all those, you know, it's a bit far away, but we're trying to not scare the hippos, otherwise they'll run into the water. But all those birds are called oxpeckers. Now, I feel like I talk about the oxpeckers every single day, but they are so funny to watch. They're all just resting now. I think they're just using the hippos as rocks. And then what they actually do, because you can see these birds on all the different other animals, they've got a very good relationship with the other animals. So it's amazing once you start to learn more and more about nature, you realize how they all help one another out. So those birds help keep the animals clean. They eat ticks and fleas and mites. So all the parasites is what we would call them, all the animals that are pretty much feeding on blood from the different animals, those birds will eat them. Is that hippo getting a back scratch? That's quite nice. That's very sweet. I don't think I've ever seen a hippo do that before. Scratching the hippo's back. That's something new. Well, the hippo seems to be enjoying it. Either that, or that hippo is scratching its lip on the other one. Look at the little baby also biting another hippo's tail. It's not very nice. Look. Oi, that's very rude. That's a very naughty little hippopotamus. It is going to get a big fright. Look, careful, don't bite your friend's tail. That's not nice. It's a very sweet little baby. Oh, there's the hippo's tongue. Look. The bigger one is now licking the other hippo. That's amazing. Now, sometimes you see it with, well, you do see it often with leopards and lions and impala and waterbuck, where they will allo-groom one another. So they'll actually lick one another to help keep each other clean. And that's very good for animals that live in family groups, because it means that they get to know one another a little bit better. Oh, look at those teeth. I wouldn't want to be bitten by a hippo. And I've never seen hippos doing it before. That's amazing. And very cool to see. Now they're all just going back to sleep again. Liam, now you've asked who inspired me to do this job, I suppose, as being a safari guide. Well, I'm very lucky, Liam. The holidays that I used to go on with my family were safari holidays. They were my favorite ones. So I suppose I have to say thank you to my mom and dad for taking me on safari all the time. And then I just can't get enough of it. So I thought, well, I better do it as a job then, so I can do it every single day. So here I am. So it is a whole lot of fun. There's another little baby. Are you uncomfortable now? Perhaps it will be going for a swim in the water. Now, we've got a whole bunch of hippo here just resting up on a Friday afternoon, having a pool party. Now, Steve has got the same thing happening, but not at the river, but with the wildebeest, and they are out in the open grasslands.
Yes, well, thanks very much. The reason we stopped here is because there is an enormous amount of wildebeest on the plain here. And the name wildebeest, boys and girls, actually is an Afrikaans word meaning wild cow. Isn't that funny? The first people to come here called them wild cows because they behave a little bit wild. But there are thousands and thousands of them. And they come here every single year from the Serengeti, which is in Tanzania, to the south of where we are, crossing that crazy river we saw a little while ago. And thousands of people come every year to take photographs and to experience exactly what we're showing you right now. All of these animals in front of you eat grass. See, one enormous lawn mowing system. They are here eating all of the grass, getting all of the energy for themselves. And in amongst there, somewhere around the corner, there are lions and hyena that are trying to catch these wildebeest that come in for a few months every single year. There's a time of plenty for the predators and a time of plenty for the animals as well. Lots of grass to feed on. It is so special to see all of these animals, so we had to show you. Janet, a very good question. You want to know how much food an elephant eats? Well, they reckon a really big male elephant can feed on about 600 pounds of food every single day. Can you imagine eating 600 pounds of food? That's a truckload of food. And it's constantly using its long, long nose to grab that food. So what a busy elephant it must be to be able to eat that amount of food. I mean, if we eat a few pounds of food a day, that's a lot. 600 pounds. My goodness. I suppose that's why they're so big, isn't it? But look at all of those. As far as the eye can see, it's just wildebeest. Magnificent. We thought you'd share it with you because at some stage they're going to go back south again. Noah, you want to know if lions will eat elephants? Well, when all these animals are available, there's just a bit of dust there, sorry about that. When all these animals are around, lions will only go for these guys and zebras. Elephants are last resort when there's nothing else available. Possibly will they go for an elephant, but an elephant is a very, very big animal and, well, very hard to catch because they're very, very strong. 12 to 13,000 pounds. A big male lion maybe can get up to 500 pounds, maybe a little bit more. So there's a very, very big difference in the weight class. So lions don't generally go for elephants. They choose animals that are more sort of their size and weight. And these guys, plenty of them around, much easier to catch than an elephant. There's a few youngsters there. You see the one who just walked out of screen. He was born a few months ago in the Serengeti and then came up here with mum and is on the first leg of his journey. We're going to be going south again soon, and we're not sure exactly when. We've had a bit of late rain, so the migration is a little bit delayed. Liam, you want to know why they eat so much? Well, they eat as much as they're supposed to. They don't necessarily eat too much. It's just that there's so many of them that they come here, and because there's so much grass, so many of them can hang out together. Like back in the day, I'm sure, in the plains of North America, the bison used to hang out in enormous numbers, but we changed all of that. Mankind changed it all, and this system here with the Serengeti and the Masai Mara is one of the few systems in the world where you can still see this kind of thing happening. It's all still very natural, and the animals all still doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So it's magnificent to be able to see. They're just eating machines, you know, that like cows that just need to eat and get on with their day. They need the energy to walk and to move and to breed and to run away from the lions. So they're just eating the grass. The grass quite enjoys being eaten, in fact, because with all these animals, there's so much poo being deposited as well, and all that poo is producing lots of insects and lots of nutrient-rich stuff which goes back into the soil, and the grass enjoys that very, very much. So it's a very nice cycle of animal eats grass, animal deposits poo, poo goes back into soil, rain comes along again, and there we go, you get more grass. So it keeps going. It is all part of what the natural world is all about. And having the hyena and the lion in and around, they also pick off the weak and the old and keep the system very, very healthy. Okay, well, talking about healthy systems, there's no healthier systems than watering holes.
Look, we're still here with the hippos, and some of them are now going back into the water. I think they've spent enough time out in the sun, and now they've decided to go back and play in the water. There we go. Those little ones, they're all going to start chasing one another soon. Well, I'm hoping that that's what's going to happen. They're getting very curious. Some of them are having a drink of water. It's also getting very, very windy now, so maybe they're trying to get away from all the horrible wind. Look at that one with all the birds on its back. Isn't that so cool? Now, did you know that hippos are one of the most dangerous animals in Africa? And Cameron, this ties into your question. So hippos like to eat grass. They don't eat fish. They don't eat people. They don't eat any meat. Sometimes you see them playing with carcasses in the river, so dead animals, but they don't eat it all the time. They don't like go out searching for prey like a lion or a leopard would. So they leave the water at night to go and look for grass, but they have to travel very, very far now because there's no food for them at the moment, because we haven't had enough rain yet. So we don't have any rain in winter, and we're just in spring at the moment going into summer. We get a summer rainfall here. So the reason why hippos are so dangerous is because they go out of the water at night to go search for grass, and sometimes they'll come right up into the lodges, because obviously the lodges, they like to water their grass and keep their plants nice and green all year round, and the hippos know this, so they're like, yum, we're gonna go eat that there. But then when you're trying to just go back to your room, and you don't know that there's a hippo there, they might get a fright and then run and trample you. Or if you walk in between this dam and the hippo is maybe on its way back to the water, between it and the water, and it feels the safest in the water, then you're going to find yourself in a bit of trouble too. And then sometimes there are people that go on safaris in canoes on rivers infested with hippos and crocodiles, and the hippos can be quite territorial, so they're very protective over their watering holes, and they will chase you away if you're lucky enough to escape. So you have to be very, very careful of hippos. Even though they just eat grass, they can be very, very dangerous too. So the hippos that we've been looking at now are really small ones. They're still babies. The one on the right-hand side there, that's a big mama hippopotamus, and she weighs quite a bit. I bet she weighs probably as much as all of you in the classroom today, maybe even more than that. She can weigh about 1.5 tons to 2 tons, so that's normally about the weight of a small car. So very, very big, and we're very far away from them, so they don't look massive at all, but as soon as they come close to the vehicle, they're quite tall, and some of the big males are almost as long as the car that I'm in at the moment. It's crazy, hey? So you have to be very, very careful of these creatures, but we're lucky. We're not bothering them, they're not bothering us, we're just watching them, and then they're just going to leave us alone. I don't know what I don't think the baby hippopotamus is eating anything. It's licking at the back of the other hippo. Very, very curious. See, every now and then it's nipping it, and you'll see that hippo gets a bit upset. Maybe it's licking the bird poop off of the other hippo's back. It's helping it, it's cleaning it. Now, Gabe and Mrs. Roadcap, we don't get any alligators here in South Africa. We have Nile crocodiles, and I haven't actually seen any today. There are quite a few that live here, but the crocodiles eat a lot of fish in this area. There's big gold catfish that they'll catch, and then they'll catch impala. They'll even eat birds. If there's a dead hippo, they'll try and eat the dead hippo. So they eat lots and lots of things. If you ask Steve very, very nicely, he might be able to find you a really big crocodile, because they get massive in Kenya. Here in South Africa, in this in this dam, we don't have any massive crocodiles. And there's another hippo. You can see it's been resting in the water all day by the water line. On its body, bloop, back down again. Now it's going to do the submarine, where it holds its breath and it walks along the bottom of the water. Sometimes you'll still see the birds on it, or even the terrapins, and sitting on them. There's some more hippos. A little bit closer, and these guys are all fast asleep. Look at them. They are snoozing. Now, I know Tristan is a little bit further north from where I am, and he's still trying to find those leopards. Maybe he's picked up on their tracks.
Unfortunately not, Taylor. We don't know where they've gone. We were looking around just trying to see. So I went to the nearest water point, thinking that generally when a leopard finishes a meal, it will go straight to water to try and kind of get itself sorted out and go and have a bit of a drink, and then from there they go and try and rest after eating. They have big full bellies, and then it's time just to go and have a bit of a rest. And so I was hoping that we would find them close to that water point, but there's no tracks going there, so they must have gone to a different water source. So now I've just got to try and check 1 or 2 other water points and see if maybe we can find them. But so far, not very much luck, unfortunately. In fact, we've seen very little this afternoon. It seems like the animals, unlike for Steve and Taylor, are hiding for us, which is sometimes the way it goes. Sometimes you get lucky and you find animals everywhere, and other days it's a little bit quiet. And that's what makes safari so special, is because you go through these times where you kind of see everything and it's amazing, and then other times you don't, and so you never know what you're going to get, and that always makes every moment interesting. We could go around the corner now and both those leopards could be sitting in the road. We don't know, and so I always thoroughly enjoy being out on safari, and sometimes when it's quiet, it's a good thing. It makes you appreciate the busy times. So, Max, lots and lots of types of animals. There's many animals that are here, and I've been lucky that I've traveled quite a lot, not only in Africa, but in the world, and so I've seen quite a few different types of animals. There's a impala that's walking away, little male impala, so that's one of the types of animals we see. This is probably the one that we see the most out of all of our animals, and so I've never actually counted how many different animals I've seen. It would be a long, long list, though. I've seen, like I say, a lot of animals in a lot of different places, which is very, very fortunate for me, and hopefully, Max, you'll see a lot in your lifetime too, and you'll be able to see animals for all over the place. Right, now our impalas are disappearing into a thicket. Well, impala, should I say, a little young boy. He's going off into the thickets. And so I'm going to send you across to Taylor, who has got something. I didn't hear what, but I'm sure it will be interesting.
Now, this is a really, really cool bird. This is called an African hawk eagle, but it's still a baby. It's a juvenile, so it hasn't got its adult feathers just yet. Now, the reason why I found it is because I could hear all the squirrels. They were shouting. There were some birds that are very unhappy. And I thought, what predator is here? What animal is here? And we saw it sitting on the floor, and I thought, that is weird. But it makes sense because it actually managed to catch a squirrel. So that's what those birds like to eat. They will eat other birds, they'll eat squirrels, they'll eat rats and mice. And it's important that this little bird finds itself a meal, because if it doesn't, it's not going to be able to grow into an adult. So that squirrel is the equivalent of carrots and beetroot and pumpkin and peas and all those wonderful vegetables that you need to eat in order to grow big and strong. That is what this bird has to do if it wants to become an adult one day. But I think it is just watching all the other birds. I don't think it knows what to do just yet. It hasn't decided if it's going to fly away with a squirrel and maybe eat it in a tree, or what it'll do with it next. But how cool is that? I'm very lucky to see. And then there's another bird here, one of my favorites, actually quite close to the car. A little three-banded plover. Look at it running around. That's a really teeny tiny bird. But they're very bossy. They run around and they make a whole lot of noise. I wonder what it's doing. I think it's looking for something to eat. Very cool. Right, well, I'm going to send you back to Steve, because he's going to spend the last couple of minutes with all of you for the school drive.
Well, thank you, Warrensburg Elementary and John C. Mayer, for joining us this afternoon. I hope you've learned lots and lots and lots from your time with us. We hope to see you again soon. We're going to end off our little game drive safari with you this afternoon with the tallest land mammal in the world as it browses there beautifully on a tall tree. Thank you for joining us. Have a beautiful day, and we will see you next time. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the regular show. I hope you're having a marvelous afternoon. It is sensational out here in the Mara. It is exactly 1 degree Celsius warmer than it was yesterday. No looming thunderstorms as of yet on the horizon. Please feel free to send through your questions. #SafariLive, or drop it in the YouTube chat stream, and remember the all-important @FC, and keep your questions relevant to the topics on hand so that we can facilitate your answers. What a marvellous afternoon. Send them through. We're going to continue on. Our objectives of this afternoon are to go past Serena towards an area called Mara Beach, and there is another crossing area over there that I haven't quite been to yet. So stick on, stay aboard, and come with us. But in the meantime, let's go down to Taylor with the beautiful African hawk eagle.
We do. We're seeing quite a few juveniles around at the moment. I'm not sure if this is the juvenile that we see at Juma, because we're at Chitwa, but it is still holding its squirrel between its talons, and it's not moving at all. Just have a little listen at how unhappy the animals are. Yeah, the squirrels. Sounds like there's a francolin of sorts. It's also sitting there. I feel sorry for the squirrel though. But do you think it watched its partner get taken? I'm sure it's why that squirrel is making such a noise. I think it saw the entire thing happen. But I don't know why this bird is like it's shocked or frozen. I don't know what's happened here. That it is just sitting so still and hasn't moved an inch. Now we've repositioned them. We've actually crept a little closer. Yeah, Roshni, it does kind of look like it's on pause, hey? It's bizarre. Seb and I really want to see it fly. We're ready to play the patience game that we play when we watch leopards for 3 hours, just to see this bird fly with its meal. That is why we are here this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. It was very cool though. Tristan actually quizzed me the other day. He was like, "What bird is this, Taylor?" And I was like, "I don't know." And then I said, "It looks like a hawk of some kind. Maybe it's going to fly up now." And then he was like, "It's a juvenile African harrier hawk." And I was like, aha! So that's the only reason why I know it's a juvenile African harrier hawk, because Tristan helped me identify one the other day. Well, he tried to trick me. I'll have to ask him about the time that I put sand on the hood of his car today. He just cleaned it. I did get paid. Yeah, I had the same thing happen to me, so it was okay, payback. It's also really cold all of a sudden. I don't know about you, Seb, but I am freezing. Like, I'm ready to put jackets and jerseys and things on now already. And we're both going, we don't think we brought enough clothes for this evening's safari. We're both in shorts, and we've only got like a jersey each. So it might mean that we'll have to mosey on back towards camp at some point to get nice and warm. Hello, Tesla, my young friend Tesla, who's only 8 years old. That's just for you, Tesla, because you've been gone off the show for such a long time and I've missed you so much. So the other things this hawk will eat is anything. So it'll eat even birds, it'll eat scrub hares, it'll eat more squirrels probably, it'll eat rats and mice. I think if there was a dead fish on the floor that a fish eagle had left, it would probably try and eat that too. I think it will try and eat anything that it can. Even if there was a big dead animal here, it might even scavenge. But I think it's very chuffed with itself. It's very proud that it caught that squirrel. Very cool, but it's frozen now. It's not. I don't think it's going to move at all. It's very vulnerable sitting like that out in the open. Oh. Rosalind, now you're testing me. You've asked about the length of their wingspan. Before I tell you absolute nonsense, shall we guess? Because I can't remember. Probably like between 1.7, 1.8 meters, but let me just quickly check for you. Hawk eagle. We need to go to H. Hawk eagle, African hawk eagle. Let's see how wrong I was. Their wingspan. 1.5 meters, haha, maximum. So I was a bit off there. So a little bit smaller than that. They're not particularly big birds anyways. They are, in terms of the length of the bird, so with its wings closed, the height of it, only about 60 centimeters, so 2 rulers, just over 2 rulers or so. Pretty cool to see. What are you going to do now, bird? Sorry, Emma, you said something to me, but I didn't hear. Wonderful. I'm not sure what Tristan's got. It's very windy down here at Chitwa. I couldn't say that name. Let's go to him anyways.
I do have something. I have, well, the fluffiest of the fluffy animals that we get out here in the form of 2 young male waterbuck, and that one is posing beautifully in the sunshine at the moment, just having a little look around, admiring the view. I'm pretty sure that the sun is quite welcome after yesterday's very, very, very cold kind of conditions. So, although these guys, of all the animals out here, are best suited to having a cold spell with wet weather, because of their fluffy fur, they're able to kind of deal with that quite well. So these guys, I suppose, would have fared better than anybody else that we had out here. The thing is, though, is that these guys generally are in small bachelor groups like this, unless of course there's females around, and then you'll find that these guys will try and join up and try and kind of challenge sometimes males to be able to join in. And I'm surprised that we're only seeing these 2 and where we're actually seeing them. Generally waterbuck are quite close to permanent sources of water, and where they are at the moment is quite far actually from anywhere. But this one keeps looking over its shoulder kind of down Twin Dams Road, and I wonder if maybe, just maybe, something isn't lurking in this general vicinity. Maybe we've got one of our cats maybe moving towards the dam itself. I'm just having a look around. It is a bit breezy today, so there's a lot of wind which will create noise and leaves moving about, and that might mean that they're a little bit kind of jumpy as to what's going on. I was really hoping after yesterday's cold front and the horrible weather we had that the wind was going to settle right down and we were going to have better weather. Safari Aussie, when is breeding season? Well, for waterbuck or just for any animals in general? Because if it's for waterbuck, it would have been already. They would have mated, although waterbuck do pretty much produce quite a long period through the summer months, so they would have mated already back in April, May, around there. They would have been mating even a bit earlier than that, and then a little bit later as well, into probably June, and so they'll give birth throughout the summer season, which will be much like most of your antelope species. Things like buffalo, elephant, hippos, lion, leopard, there is no breeding season for them. They just mate when the females come into estrus and have their cubs or their offspring at that time. And it's because all of those animals generally can find food at any time of the year. It's not like the antelope species that require kind of high amounts of food to get their young grown very quickly to avoid predation. So things like an elephant, the herd protects that baby for long enough, and it doesn't matter what time of the year it is, it's still going to be a baby for a while and has to learn to cope with both summer and winter. So breeding season is dependent on the animals. Each animal has a different kind of time of the year that it will mate. Good. Right, I think we're going to leave our waterbuck to themselves and carry on trying to find Tandy and Kalamba. Now, I know Taylor was busy talking about sand and all of the nonsense that she got up to, and so I'll get into that shortly. Romit, prey species protecting one another? Not really, no. A prey animal knows that if it tries to get involved with a predator and another prey animal, there's a very good chance that it might get hurt and might get killed on its own. So they generally try and their best to stay away from predators, and even if it means that another prey animal is being killed, then they'll just try and kind of move off and leave that prey animal to itself. The only instances where there has been kind of cooperation between animals is more because there's a disturbance near them and a hatred of that predator. So something like an elephant might disrupt a leopard or a lion in a hunt when it's killing something. The sound and the commotion disrupts those animals to go and do something. Same as sometimes with hippos and crocodiles, or hippos and lions. They sometimes will be like that. They'll try and kind of get into that area and really just sort of push off that predator because of the commotion that it's creating around them. It's not that they're actually protecting that animal. They're really just trying to kind of show that predator who's boss and dominated more than anything else. But back to the sand saga of 2018 at DRC. So yesterday it rained, it was dusty today, and my car really looked terrible. It did not look good at all, and so I thought to myself, you know what, I can't actually in all good consciousness go on drive their car looking as vile as that did at that point, and I've got to look after Rusty, because Rusty and I have had long days out here, and so need to look after Rusty. And so I thought, well, I'll clean it quickly. So I cleaned the whole bonnet. As you can see, it looks quite spiffy, doesn't it? I think so. I think I did a fairly good job. There's a bit of a shine there today, and it could be better, but it's okay. It will pass, given that I was a bit late for, and so I was in a bit of a rush, and so I had to kind of just do a quick polish job there. And so as I finish, I have Craig lurking right near me, and Craig says to Taylor, I'll give you R7.50 to throw sand on Tristan's bonnet. And so what they did between the two of them is Taylor then bent down, grabbed a handful of sand and threw it across my entire bonnet and made everything all dusty and dirty again. So then I had to clean it all up, which was, well, not ideal, let's be honest. And so then now the war has begun. Taylor McCurdy is going to find sand every day, I think, on her vehicle. I'm going to figure out ways just to put sand in all the most weird places on her vehicle that she's going to get irritated with me by the end of the week, I'm pretty sure. And it's not that long until Taylor leaves, so I might as well give her a bit of trouble as I go. And so the sand war of 2018 has now started. And then, so we'll see how it goes. It's probably going to end very poorly. We're going to probably end up driving in a mountain of sand, but let's see how we go. It should be fun anyway. Now, apparently Taylor McCurdy has a response to the sand war challenge, and so let's see what she has to say.
Well, I'm still waiting for my R7.50. So Craig's in a bit of trouble. I'm going to be the tax collector, or just the money collector really, and go banging on his door at 2 o'clock in the morning. But anyways, look, we're back with a tiny little hippo. Now I'm looking forward to this little game now that I've started. And a little tiny hippo, so small and so playful. This is the one we were looking at yesterday. Yes, you could move so quickly. I'm sure it's only about a week old. It's so small. And the fact that Mom's keeping it separate from everyone else, except that hippo over there, although I'm sure she'll be quite protective, making sure that no one gets too close. And it's been using that rock off to the left to try and keep itself above the water, which is really sweet to watch, because every now and then you see more of its body exposed. See, it's tiny in comparison to Mom. Careful, watch out. She's got a rather large bottom. She's going to push you over. Oh, I still haven't put a jersey on. Ooh. Now I believe there's a poll at the moment, so please get voting on Twitter. Basically it's about who will win the sand wars, Tristan, myself, or will the sand win? My money's on the sand. I think the sand will probably come out tops there. There's someone who's going to end up crying, and it's going to be Tristan. I don't know how we're going to do it. Once, Kirsten and I put leaves in Brent's laundry. It was really funny. He'd left his laundry in the DRC for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, and he hadn't collected it yet, so it was in his washing basket. So Kirsten and I then looked at one another like a bunch of 3-year-olds and went, are we going to put leaves in his clothes? And she immediately went, yes. So we grabbed as many large fruited bush willow leaves as we possibly could, and we stuffed them in his pockets, we put them in his jocks, we put them everywhere. Just went through his laundry. It was really funny, but we didn't get to put as many as we'd like to, because Brent then walked into the DRC as mid-act, so our hands are in the washing basket, and he said to us, what are you doing? So I went, and I had a kakoi in my hand, and I went, oh no, Mama Z just got she took one of your kakois and she put it in my room, so I'm just putting it back. And I probably put it in the washing basket. It gave Kirsten enough time to let go of the leaves. I know, right? I'm so good at excuses. And then we went, and then we swiftly moved on. And then I think I said something about, oh, Kirsten was just helping me because I couldn't tell the difference between which one was mine. Big story, absolute massive story. But anyways, we never heard the end of what actually happened and if he appreciated all the leaves in his clothes. But we do prank each other like that in camp. I still really wanted to prank James, but I never got around to doing it, which makes me sad. Remember, Seb, I don't know if you ever heard my prank that I wanted to do. I won't actually ever do it. I wanted to put little bells on the edge of fishing gut, so fishing line, and tie them underneath his bed, but like on the base of the bed. And so that every time he got into his bed would go ching, 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 like lots of little bells making a noise. And I think that would have driven him insane. So that was my goal. Seb, I think I saw a squirrel at 12 o'clock on the marula, the trunk, or the branch that's broken, the big branch that goes straight up. Oh, I can point. I think it's a little baby one. It looks so small just sitting there in the sun. Oh, there it is. Just if you drop down just a little bit. There it is. Hello, little squirrel. Well, it's either really little or really old. I can't tell. I don't know if that is a baby. It might just be a squirrel that's about to retire. Yeah, that's a boy. I'm not sure if you can tell how it's a male squirrel, but I'll let you all figure it out if you stare long enough. But anyways, I think that might be a very exhausted old male squirrel. Just resting up there in the sun. Better be careful. There's a juvenile African hawk eagle around, and he's already caught himself one of them squirrels. So best you beware. So not looking around us, not being very vigilant. But anyways, right, I think we're going to leave Chitwa because it's a little bit on the quiet side. So we're going to go back to Juma. Ooh. Riti, yes, I suppose baby hippos are considered prey. Maybe not necessarily to crocodiles, because hippos and crocodiles have this unspoken rule where you leave me alone, I leave you alone, but a crocodile just can't help itself sometimes and does try to snap up the odd sorry Seb, I don't know if it's a raptor that's just landed in the ground or a turtle dove. It looks like a... No, it's not, it's a cuckoo. Yeah, lekker. Cuckoo. I think it's an African cuckoo. I didn't see red on its breast. It was very difficult. The red-chested cuckoo and the African cuckoo look very similar. Let's see if we can get it again. That's quite nice. So, sorry, Riti. So, hyenas, and it's still there actually, just on that branch. Hyenas and lions will also go for baby hippo. Look, there it is. Can you turn and look to us, please? Definitely a cuckoo. I'm pretty sure. Remember, I told you the other day, I said I thought I'd seen an African cuckoo flying overhead when I was on bushwalk. But that's very nice. Beautiful. They look very, to me, yeah, that's definitely an African cuckoo. The African cuckoo and the red-chested cuckoo, as well as the shikras and the lizard buzzards, you can often get them confused, especially if they're bouncing about, because they've all got that streaking, or the bars that go across their breast like that, and then they're grey in colour. But I just find that a cuckoo flies a little bit more like a dove than the raptors kind of fly. But yeah, you got to be careful. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I think the African cuckoo's sort of host, because remember these are brood parasites, so they don't raise their own young. They lay their eggs in other birds' nests, and I think it's a fork-tailed drongo is the host that they normally use. And I'm still waiting for the day that I get to see interaction between, obviously, a successful host raising a brood parasite, and I'd love to see a fork-tailed drongo hopping around, you know, trying to feed a young African cuckoo. But they will slowly start to arrive. That's very, very nice to see, an intra-African migrant. Beautiful birds. Nice that it's just kind of sitting there. Very clever birds, hey? Very effective and efficient breeders. They've worked parenting out. They don't do any of the hard work. Right, now Tristan was trying to get hold of me on the radio a little bit earlier, and I don't think it was to plot his revenge, so at some point I'll try and get hold of him again. Off you go, back to Tristan, who's not having luck with finding those cats.
I was trying to get hold of Taylor on the radio a while ago, but that moment has passed, and I kind of answered my own questions since then, so no need to get hold of her anymore. That's why I haven't been calling her. But Taylor McCurdy also needs to tell you a story, because she's kept this well hidden. Now, as you know, out here we are guides, and typically the rest of the crew looks towards us as people who understand the bush and are fearless in the face of danger when it comes to animals and the various other aspects that the bush throws at you. And so, you know, we had a situation yesterday where poor Taylor McCurdy, who was sitting freezing cold, whimpering with her jacket around her at the table, looking very unguide-like, because most guides are supposed to be hardcore, you know, and the cold doesn't affect them in their short pants and their t-shirts and, you know, their boots. But Taylor McCurdy was a picture of feeble and cold, and she sat there and she was busy on her telephone, which is a surprise, I know. I mean, Taylor on her telephone, who would have thought? And so she was busy messing around on her telephone and was doing her thing, and all of a sudden there was this yelp and this squeal of what can only be described as a little girl who's been petrified of something, and a dive bomb from the table to try and get away. And when I looked up, it was Taylor McCurdy, surprise, I know, squealing and yelping and moving away. And so I was very confused by this. In fact, I thought I worried for a second, because normally if a guide squeals, yelps and moves like that, well, it's something absolutely petrifying that has come out. I was expecting a black mamba to rear its head from the table and to be there sitting right where Taylor was. And so we all kind of came to Taylor's aid and tried to help this defenseless guide as she kind of squealed for her life. It then turned out, when we asked Taylor what had just happened, that Jerry was wearing a pair of fluffy boots, and the fluffy boot had touched Taylor's leg, and Taylor, the hardcore safari guide, had gotten a fright from a sheepskin boot. Yes, It is real. This is what happened. Poor Taylor was squealing because a boot brushed her leg. It obviously led to hysterics, and poor Taylor then started to cry with laughter. And so I'm pretty sure that on the sand war that we're going to have is that Taylor will be the first one crying. That's really the point of my story. But it was very, very funny. I thought it was hilarious. Taylor was rolling around with laughter as well as she realized that she had actually let out this noise in front of everybody and had kind of given herself away. So it was very, very good. Anyway, Taylor McCurdy is a one of a kind in many respects, and so, you know, we'll have to just kind of keep giving her a bit of trouble, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get some random bit of sand somewhere. She's actually a very good prankster, is Taylor. I remember April Fool's Day, and we were talking about this the other day too, and we were having a really good laugh because Brent was here at the time, and April Fool's Day, Brent had been going on about how he was going to get everybody, and he was going to make sure that everybody had the worst April Fool's pranks and whatever was going to happen, as only Brent Leo Smith can do. And anyway, Taylor sneakily that morning snuck towards the coffee station and took the normal sugar container and replaced it with the salt container. And Brent Leo Smith, none the wiser. All of the rest of us were in on the joke, by the way, and so nobody, you know, fell for it. So Brent Leo Smith, none the wiser, walked up, bit tired, morning, hello everybody, went to the coffee station, made his coffee, and grabbed the sugar salt solution and proceeded to lump about 4 teaspoons of salt into his coffee and stirred it up. And Taylor, who was standing right there, and the rest of us were trying to hold back a snigger as Brent Leo Smith put his coffee to his lips in a kind of, you know, that moment when somebody is just having their first sip of coffee and all they want to do is be kind of as happy as they can be that they're going to now get this caffeine injection. And you know, he was about to savor the taste of his coffee on a coolish morning, and he took a sip, and there was, you know, that first kind of moment, he looked as though he was quite happy, and then the taste buds kicked in, and a realization that his coffee was not at all sweet, but rather salty and horrid. And it then got to the point where he kind of did a double take, took one more sip and realized what had happened, and then he complained bitterly about who had put salt out instead of sugar. And when Taylor said April Fools, well, Brent thought this was not the funniest joke ever, and he completely refused to admit that it was entertaining. The rest of us, of course, all giggled and rolled around like little kids, but he thought it was not funny and said that was not an April Fool's. We all thought it was funny. So it was a very, very well played prank, and so I'm a bit worried about Taylor with the sand. I feel like this could get out of control and could really be a bit of an issue, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll kind of keep it above board, and hopefully we will not end up with sand everywhere, which I'm pretty sure is going to happen. Right, now, someone who's not involved with any of these antics, and probably won't be involved with these antics, is Steve, all the way up in the Mara, and I'm sure he's pretty grateful that he's not.
Thank goodness. Sand. Well, I don't mind sand too much. Not in your food or in your face, I suppose. On the beach, sand is good. There's lots of dust out here with all the vehicles driving through. So I suppose that's a little bit of sandy stuff. But it sounds like those two are up to all sorts of shenanigans down in the south. It's just myself really up here with James. So 2 technicians, Edwin and Martin. And then an intern. Steph is in camp at the moment, but other than that, not too many people to play pranks with. Not at all. Not a single girl in camp. How's that? A bachelor herd up in the Mara. Bachelor herd of wildebeest in the Mara. So we are heading on towards my mispronunciation of Mara Beach is actually Mara Bridge. So my miscommunication there with James. We slowly head there. Apparently there were 2 crossings there today. Maybe we'll see one when we get there, but it's nice to be able to get this far south and towards the other side of the triangle, places I haven't been before. New unexplored areas, and after we check it out, obviously this is perfect, ideal habitat for cheetah. Nothing so far. We've seen one of the rangers again. They haven't spotted any cheetah, but here we go. Here's a beautiful little watering hole and a lovely yellow-billed stork. Oh, and everyone's going to be very happy with some goslings. There is an Egyptian goose here with some goslings on the right. Look at them, and then we can go for the yellow-billed stork. Everyone down in Djuma loves the goslings. It's got 5. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 goslings. There we go. How cute are they? They're a little bit out the way for us to come and check this little pan every single day, but I'll definitely make a turn here from time to time and keep an eye on these guys. A little story once again. Where have the goslings gone? Everyone remembers the story of Buffelshoek Watering Hole with, as James Hendry would like to put it, the world's worst parents. They are very cute. And here is the yellow-billed stork to the left, who's busy doing a very characteristic yellow-billed stork fishing technique of disturbing the sediment with his foot, having a very sort of powerfully snapping together beak. So if anything goes into the beak, it triggers. Ooh, hang on, he has to catch his balance sometimes. See how he displaces the sediment? Or she. I think it's a male. It's pink underneath the wings. Have a look at that. Waits for something to move through. Doing it completely blind, folks. It is very murky in there. You can see how dirty the feet are when it comes out. Displacing for any frog or any maybe mud-dwelling fish to move through, and the beak will snap shut very, very quickly. Beautiful little ecosystem, and it just materializes in the middle of absolutely nowhere. The enormous open plains on either side probably makes this quite a favored little drinking spot for wildebeest, and wouldn't it be marvelous if we'd found a hyena, not a hyena, a cheetah just sitting by on the side, waiting for us, saying, "You've been looking for me, have you? Well, here I am." Krugergar, fantastic to see the stork indeed. Yellow-billed storks, they do accumulate in some large numbers in certain watering points, and generally their number indicates what sort of abundance of food there might be in there. And generally you'll see as watering holes start to diminish with regards to the amount of water volume, and you'll get more and more stork-like birds moving in because it's a bit easier to catch the fish. Just around the corner is also an ibis, and there's an ibis here, but the Egyptian geese are having a little bit of a cleaning. The youngsters are learning, okay, this is how we clean ourselves. It's a little safety spot. Not too many things are going to be able to catch them there from a predatory point of view on the ground, but from the air there are numerous raptors that they could fall victim to. But Egyptian geese, generally very vigilant parents, very good at looking after their youngsters. But here is a couple of ibises. Their specialized probing beaks, looking for all sorts of arthropods in the mud. I believe they can smell right at the tip of the nose of the beak. Roshni, the pink is sort of coming into breeding. The males, white yellow-billed storks, generally when they're going to start breeding, they become a little bit yellow. Not yellow, pink, which is sort of a means of making themselves look a little bit prettier. And then the ladies kind of think, ooh, look at you, dashing fellow. You're wearing your pink tuxedo today. You are marvelous. So it's definitely a sort of a seasonal thing that comes in for the breeding. There's no ladies around there, so I think he's just making do with the food he can get. Oh, in fact, there's a lady behind on the other side of those reeds. Just up at the back, if you look a little bit up more, just a little bit more up there to the left. Her head is down there, so I could just see the back of her a moment ago. She's busy feeding just like him, so he's put in his best pink outfit to attract only one female. He's doing wonderfully well. There you can see the probing in the sort of muddy reaches of the watering hole. All sorts of aquatic worms and snails living inside there. So these little hot spots, so you can always spend a few minutes at these little watering points, and all sorts of small little aquatic birds will suddenly pop out of nowhere. It's always important to spend a bit of time. There's quite a lot of shy and skulking little critters that will suddenly materialize. Here at your 9 o'clock, James, there's a terrapin or something on the rock, just on the other side of the grass patch there. There's that one rock. I think it's a terrapin sitting in the sunshine. I'm not sure exactly what terrapin it is. Just at 9 o'clock, directly across from you there. A little bit more, a little bit more. A little bit more on the other side of that grass patch, middle of frame now. There's a rock just down a little bit to the right, and there we go. This is some form of terrapin. I wonder what terrapins we get up here. It looks quite different from the terrapins down in South Africa. Maybe it's because it's not sitting on the back of Scuba Steve, which we're so familiar with down there. Looks a little bit different, possibly a marsh terrapin. Enjoying the sunshine, the Chelonian. I wonder if there's a Hosanna nearby to give this little terrapin the fright of its life. Joe, the difference between beak and bill really is in the definition. There's no real change in the definition, I mean. Some people call it a beak, some people call it a bill. It really is the same sort of word. It works better with certain birds to say beak and works better with others to say bill, but it's really pretty much the same, like digits and fingers kind of can be used at the same sort of way. Oh, here comes some snipes. A snipe just flew across screen. I think you might have seen that. I think they might land. I think there's, oh, they're gone. They looked to me like they were African snipes, but I didn't get a proper look. They were way too quick. And there we go. There's the lovers. You can see he's very beautiful in pink. And, well, she's not, is she? Look at his pose. How delicate he stands. He's now showing off. Look at that. Now a pirouette, if you would, sir. See how she's watching him to see what kind of a provider he will be for the youngsters. Amazing, this small little oasis in the vast barren grasslands of the Mara. Although when I say the word barren, I don't mean barren, just vast and open expanse. All sorts of things going on out there, but then suddenly this beautiful oasis. Oh, that's nice. Scratch your face. She's watching him, isn't she? Same technique employed. Disturb the sediment. Often they will work in tandem, these storks, because they can assist each other in sort of the way dolphins do by flushing certain prey animals out of the shallows and into the waiting beak of the stork right next to. Oh, that one got something. Yes, indeed, Pippin, they are water lilies. I couldn't tell you what species, to be honest, but a lot of them seem to... Oh, there's a wattled lapwing in the top right of the screen, but there's water lilies, so I couldn't tell you the species, but some of them haven't quite opened the flowers yet, but there's a beautiful purple flower coming through. They're not something I've seen before, but I'm sure there's a number of different species in the world. And an observation I made last night, that on our way back we saw hippos walking through the sort of crossing the road, and they had sheaths of water lilies and sort of aquatic vegetation on their back. And I was thinking to myself, hippos play quite an important role in the distribution of lilies and sort of aquatic plants from one sort of watering hole to another, because this little pond here is in complete isolation from absolutely everywhere. The only way it gets water is from rainfall. So how do the plants get here? Well, they must have been carried here somehow, and what better way to be carried than on the back of a hippopotamus? Here comes the grey-headed heron. How regal does he walk? More of a darting fashion in the fish-like catching that it has than the stork. You'll see he's going to come and show the stork how it's done. Is there going to be some competition? Yes. Oh, well, let's go back down to Taylor, who's got a little surprise.
I did one crazy Ferrari safari to race here from Chitwa, but we're here anyways, and we got wild dogs, wild puppies. Now, this is most likely the Investec / Mbali breakaway pack, and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 adults. I think I can't see all puppies though. I can see 3 so far, but I think there might be more just laying in the long grass. I did see a few, so they are here. I just don't know how many are around. There are of course quite a few people on safari coming to have a look at them. So we'll just make sure we give them enough room that they can just carry on. They're kind of sitting on a boundary at the moment. But I did see their tracks. Remember, I was telling you this morning. And apparently they weren't far away from here, but I think they were just off into Arethusa, where we can't traverse. But it's nice that they decided to pop back this side for us to have a little look. How wonderful. And Dr. T, it's actually not a particularly big pack, and the reason why I say this is because there's 4 adults, which is awesome, and the rest are puppies, but the chances of those puppies actually making it to adulthood are quite slim. So dogs do tend to have quite a lot of offspring, but whether most of them make it to adulthood, the chances are very, very, very slim, in fact. So they actually had, I think they had 8, and then they lost 2, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think, oh no, wait, didn't some more get... I remember hearing something about some of the dogs being killed by hyenas, if I'm not mistaken. So I actually don't know how many puppies are left now. Last time I saw them, there were 6. There's some of them. So I'm not really, really certain as to how many there actually are here now. But very cool to see. You can see them just playing in the shade now. They've grown so much since I last saw them, that's for sure. That's so cool, though, to see them. Now, I don't know when they last ate. I know they've been... the puppies have got fairly big bellies. Look at that. So they must have caught something this morning. Or maybe during the day. Lindsay, I suppose some of the biggest effects on wild dog puppies is got to be a predation by the predators. So again, like hyenas getting hold of them, lions or leopards won't tolerate them at all. So that's definitely quite a large factor. And then of course disease and things like that. But that would affect not just the puppies, that would take down the whole pack. But definitely being killed by other predators is a huge thing. I'm just checking. I'll try to call Taxon and Aubrey in as well. Tax, what's your luck? Okay, copy, cool. I'm sure you can come straight in because it's just myself and 2 other vehicles. There's a CP vehicle here, but he's just trying to get past to go to the gate, so I'm sure it'll be fine. There we go. Just quickly checking that Tax is on his way, because there were a few other vehicles, but they've all moved out now. So, which is nice. It'll be nice if, well, my mum and dad are on that car too, so I kind of want them to see wild dog puppies, because I don't think they've seen them in a very, very long time. So my dad is the most incredible person to go on a safari with, because he brings all the luck. He will go into Kruger and he will see the big 5 plus cheetah. The cheetah will catch something, and he doesn't even have a camera. He just, goes and observes. And when I go to Kruger, I see absolutely nothing. I'm lucky to even find impala in the national park. I do have much better luck here in the Sabi Sand, and I do seem to have incredible luck with wild dogs. I'm fairly sort of spoilt in that sense. This is like the how many times have I seen dogs now? I'm trying to remember. This must be about the 4th time that I've seen them since I've been back, and it hasn't been particularly long. And then the last time I was here too, wowzers, we saw dogs often. Shame, we try to get Brent into the sightings because wild dogs are Brent's favorite animal. And so it was very, very cool. But sadly he couldn't get in, but we had some incredible sightings. Wild dogs, please go onto Djuma. Please go all the way onto Djuma. Patrick, no, wild dogs are actually something that we as humans don't need to really worry about. They are not to kind of be feared. It's important to be respectful of them. You wouldn't want to be bitten by a wild dog, that's for sure. But they're not dangerous like lions on foot. But even then, lions are particularly scared of people when we are on foot, and they'll most likely run away most of the time. Most of the animals will. They don't really want to mess with humans. We unfortunately... Sorry, I just need to stop this car. Whoa, there's wild dogs there. Sorry, otherwise this transfer vehicle is going to try and drive through the entire sighting, which is not going to work very well, unfortunately. So I'm just telling him he's going to have to be very patient because we are on a wonderful safari and this is a wilderness area. Okay, right, off you go back to the Mara Triangle with Steve to see what he's up to, if he's going to go and find, oh, there they are, if he's going to maybe go and find some lions or perhaps some leopards. No, not leopards.
Well, thank you very much, Taylor. How fantastic you've managed to relocate on the beautiful wild dogs. Surely after all the meals since I last saw them, they must be growing into fine young little pups. But we have officially and confirmed this time an Oribi. Very good. We had one the other day, well, two in the long grass, but all we had was their head sitting above. And looking closely at this one now, the head is the same and the body is a little bit bigger than a steenbok. You could either easily confuse them with steenbok. James Richard, I'm sure, is very happy right now that we have found an Oribi. Hopefully it will pick its head up soon and we'll be able to see it in its full and all its glory. We've got beautiful light on there, nice straight horns, and it's the only one of its sort of family that is exclusively a grazer. Steenboks and Grijsboks are all exclusively sort of mixed feeders, feeding on the best that is around, whereas Oribi, liking the open grassland system, enjoys exclusively grass. So in these habitats, there we go. You can see him now, quite a nice little line on the eye there. You can see the preorbital gland was just underneath the eye socket, a really big preorbital gland, which the males use for marking territory. A thick black-like paste they'll deposit on grass stalks around the territory, depositing, they say, about 16 of those an hour, which is quite special. So very busy little fellows, and they'll even munch down the grass to sort of a nice sort of height so as to take that piece of grass into the preorbital gland so that it is at the right height for the scent marking. So what's very interesting about the Oribi is they believe it to be the one sort of species of the family that is kind of a link between monogamous and polygynous behavior. So you often find your smaller antelope being completely monogamous, where they pair and mate for life, whereas the Oribi, yes, it will often find one female, but sometimes two or more could be within the species or within the territory. So that's that one link between the polygynous and the monogamous relationships. And you wanted to know, I didn't get the name there, sorry, what happened with the jackals, the jackal pups we saw the other day. Well, we haven't been back to that area since we saw Kinky Tail and the mating Old Donupaic male. I'm not sure exactly what happened with them up there. Safari Aussie, you wanted to know what happened to those jackal pups? Well, I don't know. They're probably still around. Quite nice open areas that side, so I'm sure those pups are still doing okay. Fantastic. Officially, we can unequivocally say we have seen an Oribi and a male. James Richard, I'm glad we could facilitate that for you. Nice to see. A lot bigger though than the steenbok, a lot bigger in weight, up to 14 kilograms the males can get, whereas the steenbok probably only about 10, maybe 8, 9, and the Sharps Grijsbok smaller than that, a region of 6 and 7 kilograms, much smaller, but very good to see. And he is really busy feeding, is he not? There's time of a plenty on the plains. And because they are in the open and fires quite often spread through these areas, Linda, he does have a very cute little tail. It's almost non-existent. That very small mouth, very selective feeding on the best grasses. So fire often sweeps through these landscapes, and we know steenbok and grijsbok and other animals of the same family, their sort of strategy of hiding is to run away briefly and then stand very still. But when the cover's gone, what are you supposed to do out here? Exactly what all of the other sort of herbivores do, run and flee for your life. So I have no doubt that a cheetah would be really, really problematic for Oribi, because they don't really have too much of escape routes out here when it comes to fleeing a cheetah. But very good. Nice to see. I did see some the other day, but we didn't really get to spend any time with it. They were sitting on the ground, probably ruminating. And there's a beautiful tree on the landscape with a lone buffalo bull to the left. Okay, well, as we continue on towards the river again, hopefully we'll get some animals in the migration crossing. Let's go back down to South Africa. Tristan has got something in a tree.
Well, we are just watching the most enthralling part of this entire game drive. You can have a migration crossing, you can have wild dogs, but this is the epitome of action and amazingness. There is a squirrel, everybody. This is the highlight of my game drive so far this afternoon. Is a squirrel that is, well, feeding off the bud of a marula. Look at it go. How exciting. No, I'm joking. It's nice to actually see it. It's fairly open and exactly. I mean, I think we should actually do an unscheduled broadcast and stay here the whole drive, and we'll not go anywhere else. This is definitely the highlight of the entire year, as the squirrel feeds away on the little, looks like little flowers that are potentially budding off this marula. You see, it's kind of chomping away. Quite cool to actually see it eating. To be honest, it's not the worst squirrel sighting. Let's be fair. The squirrel is at least posing quite nicely. There's a little glint in its eye from the sunlight, and it is at least being quite active. It's not just kind of taking it easy at this stage. Crazy eyes, yes. Well, squirrels do have crazy eyes. They are crazy-eyed creatures. Look at that. It's pretty cool watching it pluck the little flowers that are coming out. That's very, very, very cool. You go, squirrel. You get that food. At least the squirrel's cooperating and being a performer this afternoon. Everything else that I've tried to look for is not interested in being around at all. Now, I can't tell if it's a boy or a girl. Generally with squirrels, though, you can, because a male squirrel, well, how do you put this delicately, is well endowed, if that's probably the word to do it. He has a rather large, yes, it is a boy. You can see now that it's a boy as he walks away from us, is that they have a serious set of testicles, which is quite something. It really is pretty amazing. And sometimes, I know this is funny, but you can actually see their testicles in their tracks when they're bounding along a road sometimes, because it hangs down a little bit and then leaves these kind of two little prints next to the feet. There you can see them quite clearly. So I know it's an awkward topic, but it's true. They really do have incredibly large testicles for the size of their body. Why that is, I'm not quite sure. There must be a reason for it. I just don't know what it is, to be honest. I'm sure some of you out there that are very clever and might know all of these kind of things will be able to help me, but I'm not 100% sure why they would. Anyway, our squirrels disappeared a little bit behind some bushes. It's no longer the most enthralling sighting out here, and apparently Taylor's wild dogs are far better, and so I'm being vanquished, and off you go, back to Taylor.
Sorry, Tristan, that I stole your squirrel thunder. But anyways, this is pretty cool, though, to see the dogs. And I hope that Tristan does get a chance to at some point as well. Tristan, if you'd like to come and see the wild puppies, I'm more than happy to swap with you if you would like to do that, because I know you haven't seen them just yet. So, I mean, you can make your way straight here, and then I'll do a little swapsies with you, just because I threw sand all over your car today. Oh, can you hear the puppies? Someone's moaning. They're making a high-pitched whine. They might all still be in here. There's lots of them that are just hanging around in the long grass that we can't see. So I'm hoping that they eventually pop their heads up, which will be great. Beautiful light on this male. So I think this might be the alpha male here. This one that's looking around at the moment. He stood up earlier. He's a beautiful specimen. And they do look like they have sort of eaten. So I don't know if they maybe caught something a little bit earlier today, or if they perhaps caught something this morning, or maybe even late last night. Because if they were running around, I believe after the sun had gone down, you know, there is a possibility that they could have snatched up an impala or a steenbok or duiker. It's not like they don't utilize the evenings. They prefer to, of course, just hunt when there aren't any other predators around. And I think last night this area would have been absolute chaos with all the lions that were making a noise and roaming around here. The Nkuma Pride, or part of the Nkuma Pride, is not too far away. And from everybody that I spoke to today that was in that sighting, they did say that it was 2 of the evoker males they've just grown so much, and we don't get to see them very often. So I suppose the age of those male lions, they're kind of getting to the point where if you don't see them for 2 or 3 months, you know, they would have sprouted, and they have sprouted into beautiful lions now. Last time I saw them, they had very, very shaggy manes, so they need to be careful around here. Because as we were saying, lions don't take too kindly to wild dog. And Brent once very sadly had to watch a wild dog being killed by a lion. Just resting up. They all seem like they've had a big day somewhere. All having a little afternoon snooze. I do think everybody is enjoying the lovely afternoon sun, as it has been fairly cool over the last couple of days. I mean, Sebastian and I have had to layer up. We've put all our jerseys on. I've even put my scarf on. I was so cold at one point. Are you ready to see Bossy Donna? What do you think? Should we show you Bossy Donna? There she is. There. So my dad is in the front seat. And there's my mom driving away with the sunglasses and the big blonde hair, as you can imagine. Fanoti and Taxon. And there's Brett Hawley on the right. Donna's not looking. Wave, Bossy Donna. She's not waving. She's too busy talking. She just refuses. She's telling big stories. There they all are. They get their moment of fame. They actually came to a viewer visit today, and they had a little look around camp and got to see all those amazing things. So there they are. They are the people that made me. You got to say g'day, mate, because they're Australian. Okay, wonderful. Shall we have a look at the wild dogs again? There's the bossy dad. No, I don't know what I just call my dad Rodney John. But there they are on safari. Emma's saying people are not too sure if people are more interested in my parents or perhaps the wild dogs. This is my favorite part, is when one just gets up and then they all start having just the best time of their lives, rolling in the sand. I'm hoping we're going to get some cool action. I feel... Seb, how do you feel about a Ferrari safari today?
I'd love one.
You'd love one? Did you bring your Velcro pants to hold on? I hope so. Look how they're playing. Look how great that is. Just trying to... Initiating play, of course, is very important with dogs. Helps rally them up when they're going to go on the hunt. And we were talking about it earlier. It's important that animals that are fairly social with one another stick to being social and constantly interact with one another. Very exciting stuff. Now, my little friend Pradeep, who's only 6 years old, you must be very excited that you got to see so many squirrels today. I'm sorry that you had to see one squirrel that was caught by the bird, but that African hawk eagle needed that meal. But anyways, so you've asked, why are they not barking? Well, Pradeep, the reason why they're not barking is because animals don't want to make a lot of noise out here. Remember, these aren't big and strong like lions and leopards, and if they hear them making a noise and barking, they might come and chase them away and try and even kill them. So they're going to be very, very quiet. You only hear wild dogs barking if they've seen something that they don't like, if they're a little bit nervous, and then they make like this really weird whooping, howling call when they've lost one another. And sometimes you hear them do that, but they're very quiet most of the time. But if they all get up and start saying hello to one another, Pradeep, they're going to make that very sort of high-pitched, sounds like lots of birds all together, but they're not birds, they're dogs. They make a strange sound. But this is really cool that they are starting to wake up now. That's good news. Right, we'll see where they go. We need them to go to the left, and that's what we need. Otherwise, if they go to the right, we're going to lose these dogs very quickly, which won't be too nice. We want to see them hunt. Right. Wonderful. Well, that sounds absolutely beautiful. Now, I know we've got a stunning scene here, but you're lucky that we can go to Kenya and go to the Mara Triangle, because Steve has got a beautiful Maasai giraffe posing.
Well, what can we say about that sort of shot? It is just magical. Magical, magical, magical. Giraffe on the mountain we are going to go to in a second. We had it a second ago. We're going to go back to the giraffe. Now we have got the southern ground hornbill moving through the long grass. I was just having a little peek at the giraffe with my binoculars, and I'm terribly sorry I missed that James had come back. We first stopped for this southern ground hornbill as it moves through the grass, looking for all sorts of prey, insects and frogs and snakes, anything that it can really get its beak on. But a beautiful shot that I would love for James to show you is a little bit on the right-hand side. Well, obviously, it's not my face that we want to look at, but over my head, just over there. Up on the Inselberg, I'm using a very big word here for everybody. If you're not familiar with what an Inselberg is, look how gorgeous that is. An Inselberg, or in South Africa is also known as a koppie, which means a round sort of head, is basically a granitic sort of round boulder-like structure that is underneath the Earth's surface at one point, and then all of the Earth's crust around it eroded, weathered down to leave this hard granitic sort of ball, almost like if you imagine when you make muffin mix and you have harder balls inside. Okay, well, we're going to quickly go back down to Taylor, who's got some action with the wild dogs.
Right, we've got pandemonium. It's just happened. Basically, the dogs got up and they started barking and doing all sorts of crazy things, and we couldn't work out what was happening. But the dogs have seen a hyena, and it's just over Seb's shoulder. Sorry, everyone, something's just happened with the camera, so he's all sorted. Now, the adults are up immediately, and they were basically pretty, you won't believe that one dog just actually barked now. Now, a hyena is a threat to the young wild dog puppies because they're in here too. And we know that a hyena recently killed one of the pups, so the adults are going to be super protective. So the big male has come out here. So I'm just ducking in my seat so you can all see. And he has put himself between the rest of the pack, and he was bouncing up and down on his back legs. He was trying to show and make himself look nice and big, and I also don't think he could see very well. There we go, that's a nice little present that he's leaving. Michaela, yes, the hyenas most certainly could smell the dogs. I think that's what maybe happened was, or when they were playing and they were letting off a couple of whiny sounds, that might have got the hyenas' attention. Because it's cooler this evening, I'm expecting, see there's now just a whole lot of people here. They're all trying to leave the reserve. So look, they're the rest of the adults, and the puppies are behind them. The males, I think he'll go and just check that everybody's okay. Puppies may have actually even run further back, and they've been told to go away, so they could be down there. So those are the 4 adults that we're looking at, which is great news. So that means that they're all there. And this one in particular has just got the most incredible markings, this male. Look at all that white that he's got on his shoulder, all over his legs. That's so stunning. Very unusual to kind of see. So we're just letting the crowds pass us now. Bye, people. And see, look how he's making himself look nice and big. I think he has actually seen that hyena again. Oh, the hyena's moving away now. He's gone. Control, oh, I don't know if I know how to answer that. Why was the dog walking while urinating? Well, I suppose some animals do that when they're marking their territories. If you watch a rhinoceros and even a leopard, they stop briefly and they spray their urine. I don't think it was anything in particular with that dog. It was more actually doing the complete opposite. It was actually defecating. But I don't think it was... I don't know, when did we see them urinate? I actually only saw the one that was defecating, but I may have missed it.
Liquidy, so maybe that's what it looked like urine.
Ah, Seb also says it wasn't urine, it was feces that we were looking at. It was obviously just in a liquid form. And the reason for that is because these animals are eating a lot of protein, a lot of meat. And that makes, well, can make the dung quite soft. Well, good news, everybody. The dogs have entered Voyatella. Juma, are you ready, Seb?
Yeah.
You got, well, no, not yet. Okay, I have to start the car. Just make sure I don't reverse into a pole. Here we go. Okay, now we hold on. Okay. Right, we're going to keep up with the wild dogs and the puppies and hopefully get a nice view of them, and maybe they'll catch dinner. I stole you away from Steve, so I ought to send you back.
Well, good luck. Well done. The dogs, when they move, it is indeed a Ferrari safari. Well, we're back with our mountainous giraffe. It's still the same Maasai giraffe on top of an Inselberg, which I was alluding to before. So essentially the Inselberg is a granitic sort of underneath the surface of the Earth's crust magma ball that would have hardened deep down in the center of the Earth, and around it everything would have weathered down. And as everything around that weathered down was much softer, the kopje or the Inselberg remained standing. And through this plain towards the right, there are a number of them in the valley where basically the entire landscape has weathered down to expose these Inselbergs, which form beautiful rocky habitats. They occur all over Africa, wherever the sedimentary rock or the lava that was once there has weathered down to expose what was very ancient rock underneath the Earth's surface. So basically magma that melted, Earth's sort of molten rock in sort of the bottom of the Earth's crust came forward and sort of stayed there. Rosalind, Mara giraffes eat very similar food to what all giraffes eat. They are exclusively browsers. And these two individuals, there might be a little bit of a love affair going on up on the mountain. I'm not sure. I think they've gone up there for a little bit of a picnic, because they're looking at what is probably the nicest view I've come across to date here in the Mara, where they're all leaves, exclusively browsers, and there's probably a number of plants up there that they're getting access to, because the Inselbergs, being a little bit more elevated, are kind of protected against fire, and so most of these little hilly areas is where you find your trees and your shrubs. And so that is what they're up to there. But considering they're not feeding, I'm certain they're just enjoying the view. Well, talking about visuals and view, it seems like Taylor has managed to catch up with her hounds.
We have, look how cute they are. They're bounding around the termite mound. 1, 2, 3 puppies. So I'm just going to count the rest now. I think the others are just on the other side of the termite mound. 4 puppies. Okay, so hopefully there'll be a 5th one. No, not yet. I can't see 5 puppies yet. I can only see 4 puppies. I don't know how many puppies are actually lost, but we'll try again. Maybe one sneaks out of nowhere. Right, off we go again. This is what this is going to be like now. It's up and down. Oh, there's supposed to be 5. Cool. I thought so, because when they 8, then there were 7, then there was 6, then there was 1 that got eaten by a hyena very sadly. So now I've only counted 4 though, but we'll try again. Let's not get too concerned yet. Meow. Sorry everyone, I'm going to concentrate on the road. My mom is going to have a heart attack because they're trying to chase after me. Right, it seems like I'm the only one that's not following the trends of giraffe today. Let's go to Tristan. He's managed to find one.
Indeed I have. A very tall, very, very stately giraffe that has got glowing legs from the sunshine that is coming down. So a very, very pretty picture. Well done, David. Nice panning technique there. Very efficient, very smooth. Excellent job, David. Always fun to work with Dave. He has a good laugh. But you can see there's an oxpecker that's with our bull giraffe that is checking us out with eyes like daggers at this stage. I think I interrupted his afternoon of feeding. I'm sorry, I annoyed you this afternoon. No response. Giraffe is not impressed and is just going to turn away, as giraffe do. You can see there's the odd insect that's bounding around there. It's got a little friend for company. He is giving me the silent treatment, the slow stare away as well. As I'm talking to him, just ignoring me completely by moving. Oh, they're going to now listen to what I've got to say. Excellent. So this giraffe is not impressed by my presence at all. He's probably, like I say, very, very upset that I interrupted an afternoon of feeding on a torchwood tree that has been pushed over by probably a naughty elephant. And so it is now just sitting kind of looking in our direction, but very pretty with that golden light hitting the face from the side. A bit of side lighting always does good things for animals, and David's doing good things with his camera too by getting us a nice and up close and detailed look at these guys. And it's amazing the kind of difference between them and the giraffe that you see in the Mara. You know, they're both very similar in terms of size, but just the pattern and the coat is completely different between the two. You know, obviously saw Steve's giraffe earlier, have a very kind of different shape to their spots, and more kind of finger-like little markings that come off, as opposed to these block-like markings. Diva, indeed, the eyelashes are quite something. Many a woman gets jealous about a giraffe's eyelash. Oh, don't you want to show us your eyelashes anymore? Fine, be like that. Off you go. Now it's going to hide behind a bush so you can't see his eyelashes. Embarrassed now that the ladies are wooing over his eyelashes. Don't be embarrassed. Come on, come back. Tom? Yes, well, ticks would bother them. Being a tall animal, they do collect quite a few, and they can't really get them off very well. So if David can somehow try and get around the leg area, maybe we can even spot some little tick friends that this giraffe has, hence why we see these oxpeckers. Now if we go up a little bit, David, up, there we go, there's some ticks. You can see them around the tail and around the inside of the legs, those little black spots a lot of the time are ticks. Now, not too bad a tick load at this time of the year, not too many ticks around, and so there's a few that have wedged themselves into those little warm crevices and soft skin around the tail area, and the oxpeckers, there it comes, coming to do a bit of good work to try and kind of clean everything up. So they do suffer from ticks, and in fact, actually, if a giraffe is in poor condition and is limping or is in any way not doing very well, you'll find that they actually get a very high tick load, and it can be kind of detrimental to them, and that can even be fatal. So they do collect ticks, particularly in the summer months. You'll see a lot more than that. This is a winter tick load, and in summer it will treble, if not quadruple, in terms of the amount of ticks that these guys actually pick up. So he's doing quite well. He's quite clean. He's looking quite dapper in this afternoon light. But again, a very, very kind of exciting, action-packed scene as this giraffe looks at the sunset. And speaking about the sunset, well, Steve apparently has a magical one up in Kenya.
Well, we couldn't help but share this with you, folks. This is the view that the giraffe we're looking at. It is absolutely stunning. Unique every day. As you all know, we love to show you the sunrises and sunsets, moments of reflection, moments to consider our day and what we're achieving for ourselves. Are we happy with where we are? There's no stopping the movement of the sun. There's no stopping the motions in our lives. We just have to hold on and enjoy, I suppose. Or change. Teresa, indeed it is. Please take a screenshot and send it through. We'd love to see them. I've taken a few shots here. I don't take too many shots these days of sunsets, but, well, my camera's been busy this afternoon. I don't have a very nice camera at the moment, but amazing what these little phone cameras can provide. But I love the photos people send through, the screenshots that they take, because it's just very difficult to capture all of that on a little mobile device. Absolutely stunning. And Tanzania to the bottom there, not far from the border where we are right now, in the distance. You can kind of see a little bit of Tanzania. Looks very similar to this side. It's just a line in the grass, drawn on a map many, many years ago. And there's some remnants of some fire. You can see a few sort of ashes or fires burning out there, and we have a visitor. The reason we initially stopped was for the sun, and then we spotted a couple little individuals that are looking very dirty and grimy, are in front of the car now and about to cross the road. Over here, James. Tesla? Hello Tesla, AJ, how are you doing? You want to know if the animals watch the sun rise and set like we do? Well, I don't think so. Although I did see a zebra sitting very quietly just now, staring off into the sunrise or set. The giraffe seemed to be as well, but that's just me adding human value really to the animals themselves. There's two hyena that are been lurking in the shadows here, and there's another one about to cross the road who looks absolutely filthy. I'm not quite sure what it's been doing with itself, but if you have a look at it, it's very dark in color and very dirty. It's not uncommon for smaller hyenas to get completely inside a carcass when they're feeding, and that to me looks like what happened. But from the hyena to the majestic wild dogs.
And they are in the gorgeous golden light too. I should have actually said the gorgeous golden glow. Come on, Taylor, be better with your alliterations. No dinner for me after that, but we're still following the pack around. Sadly, I only managed to count 4 puppies, so I think that we might be down one more, which is very, very sad. But we do know that this is what happens. This is that kind of thing. It's normal, and they don't have a fantastic chance of survival. Okay, let's go in. Obviously a bit far away now, and they seem to have settled down slightly. I'm just deciding whether to go. Yeah, let's go. Oh, here's an old 2-track. Ah, this is from when we used to follow the cheetah. Perfect. Okay, now I haven't seen any mammals for them to eat yet. Mr. Public, unfortunately these dogs have got a pretty tough life because they're so low down on the predator hierarchy. Even though they're out on the move hoping to find something to eat, they do, yes, have to keep an ear out and an eye out, looking around constantly to make sure that there aren't any predators about. So it's kind of a little bit of a both, looking for food and then also just making sure they stay nice and safe. I'm just thinking, Seb, if I go this side of the car, that might be a little bit better. So yeah, a little bit of both, but I mean, they're looking out for the puppies though as well. That's something that we must remember too, is that's their, like, they don't want those puppies to die. They want to try and protect them so they can make it to adulthood. But it is a tough, tough life for them, unfortunately. Hopefully they'll be able to, well, at least this lot will be able to make it. But it's hard to say. It's kind of really difficult to say what's actually going to go on. We can only just sit here and really observe and hope. Michelle, you said poor thing. You know what? It's life. They don't know a different life. They know it's tough. They know there's lots of things out to get them. So they do the best they can with what they've got. And they're not the most powerful predators. They obviously, actually, that one's calling. And there's also one young puppy that's got a little bit of a limp too. Not bad, but I don't know if maybe it's just hurt itself on the go, which could have happened fairly easily. You just see them there, 2 of the puppies. Also learning to look and listen. But remember, they are still learning, so they haven't quite worked out what are all the dangerous things out here, and what are the things that they don't need to worry about. So every new smell, every new sound, they'll be very curious. I mean, actually, a lot of the predators are well adapted to the crepuscular light. So there's just Aubrey in the sighting with us. So essentially, the crepuscular periods being early in the morning, and then in the evening, just as the sun has set to the last light. So wild dogs, most certainly, even cheetah. And then, of course, also a lot of the bird species, a lot of owls and things like that tend to be crepuscular. I'm just going to go a little bit further forward, just so there's one of the adults who's just here. Now, I think at the moment they're trying to listen to anything out in front of them, or potentially an opportunity to catch something. No, don't go there. Oh, they're going up and down. And this is typical dog behavior. You know, going round and round and round. Now they've changed direction completely and are heading the other way. I know there are some people that would like to come into the sighting, so as soon as a third vehicle arrives, we might have to call a standby in. But I think we've been fairly lucky, and we've had an incredible sighting of them. At least we got to see the wild dogs. And I always say this, every single time we see these beautiful creatures, we count ourselves lucky. Because I can't tell you how many guests I've guided on safari and their one wish is to see wild dogs. And most of the time, that wish unfortunately doesn't come true. So it's great to have so many packs about with lots of puppies, keeping them in one area for a little bit longer. Although as they get bigger and bigger, they're going to be expected to be able to keep up with the pack and run the exceptionally long distances. I feel like this lot have doubled in size since I last saw them. I'm just very sad that we don't have all of them here. But that's just one of those things. I don't know, Emma, if wild dogs ever grow into their ears. I feel like they just stay big like that forever. There's one going now. Just off. Where are you headed to? I don't know if they're going to go back west. Maybe. Let me just tell them that the stations must... if there's any more standbys, please make your way. I'll pull out for all of you guys. Just letting everybody know. There they go. Just going behind the termite mound now. They might be heading back west. Isn't that gorgeous though? Just watching them. Ah, of course you're going up on that termite mound. Just disappearing behind it. Well, that was pretty epic. There's just one more dog in the distance. But like I said, I think we'll give everybody else an opportunity to come and have a look at them. But what a very exciting afternoon. Right. Off we'll go. We'll carry on with our afternoon. Maybe we'll be spoiled with a lion sighting, but there's one very pretty look at the sunset, and I'm sure Steve will be ready to show you one too.
Well, our sun is setting in the background. I'm sure you're having a marvelous sunset that side as well. Don't know if it's possible to top what we just saw. We're continuing on as it's starting to get a bit darker. Still no cheetah or signs of cheetah. It's getting to that time of day when we'd have to abandon the chase for cheetah anyway, but it's great to just get a quick little visual of one. We're still trying to get to Mara Bridge, but it's seemingly much further than we think. Well, James probably knows how far it is. I've never been there before with all my talking and stopping. I'll know for next time. It's pretty far down in the south. We had nice views of Tanzania. Everybody pronounces it rather differently. There's no real border. It's just a line in the sand. The sign that says "Do not cross." So how tempting that must be for many people to park there and run in and go, "I've made it." Illegal immigration. So we're still heading, as I said, south towards the Mara River, again at Mara Bridge. Not sure what we're going to be seeing, but it's just nice to be out and exploring this wonderful place. And it definitely, James just pointed out to me that the Inselberg Koppie where Kenya had her den, the unsuccessful 5 cubs that we don't really know what happened to them. That was further down that way. Marvellous view. So not only are the Inselbergs beautiful habitats for all sorts of animals, but individuals do try and den on them. We found some lions going up the mountain. They like to also find little rocks and crevices to maybe find a nice little place to keep their youngsters. So it provides an extra little bit of habitat for possibly klipspringer and the like animals that might not do very well in these open areas. You need sort of a change into the landscape. If it was just this homogeneous open space, well, then you're going to get an homogeneous species diversity. Whereas if you have little koppies here and there in termite mounds with open flats and riverine areas, well, diversity just increases and increases. Don't forget, folks, this is Interactive Safari. Send through your questions and tweets. Don't forget the all-important @FC. Well, front of me, well, the temperature has suddenly dropped a few degrees. I've put on my jacket, but it's fantastic. I don't think it's cold. I don't think it's cooler than 17 degrees Celsius, so about 65 Fahrenheit or so. I'm completely sucking that out of my thumb. But those of you who know me quite well know I've normally got more than 2 jackets on now and a pair of gloves, but it's marvelous. Lovely. I could definitely live here. Definitely live here. I definitely overcated in the jacket department coming through. I think I bought 5 jackets, 2 pairs of gloves, 2 buffs, completely unnecessary. Anyway, it's better to be prepared. I was a Boy Scout once upon a time. Just goes on and on and on. Is this the Mara River down here, James? Or is it just a valley with trees? A nice little treed valley. Take a little view of that, shall we? You don't just get the back of my head driving. A little ravine. There's a little bit of water trickling down. Just off to the right over here. It's not the best light at the moment, but we'll do it anyway. There we go. There's a little valley down here, a little ravine. Just moving down some wildebeest in the plains. As James just pans left, you'll see the tree line starting to fill up towards the left there. So just a slight little depression in the landscape. And areas where the fire is obviously excluded from time to time, allowing the riverine habitat to move in. You would assume that there's some form of moisture underneath, deep in the valley there, and that will provide once again some more habitat for different type of herbivore. You're all enjoying this peaceful landscape. Indeed, it is a wonderful place to be. It's just so vast. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get bored of it all. I'm guessing in the distance is probably Tanzania. It might be the Mara. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to need to have a look at a map. James, in the distance? Tanzania. It is indeed Tanzania. Barnaby, the view just goes on and on and on, and that is the beauty with Africa. It just keeps going, and somewhere there is an imaginary line that is one country and this side is the other country, and well, the animals don't know that, birds don't know that, they just move, they come and go. But back in the day, people claimed it, and it's often a different languages spoken, different currencies, different politics. Spectacular. Oh, Rocky, I'm absolutely loving it. I'm loving it. It is such a different place for me. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to really enjoy an open landscape as much as I do this one. It just goes on and on. There's not a single human object to be seen. It's just crazy, crazy. I love this place. No light pollution. There might be some cars and maybe some herders out there, maybe a camp. Can't see it though. It's just completely disappeared in the African wilderness. And the abundance of animals that we've seen. I've never in my life seen so many animals. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around the amounts of birds I'm seeing as well. There's so many, and it comes so quick. Don't think I'd get anywhere if I stopped at every bird. I'm going to have to do one drive one of these days where I just do birds and get you all to assist me with the identification. Okay, well, Tristan is back up and moving again. I'm not sure what his plans are, but we're going to carry on. Let's go back over to him.
Back up? I don't know where I've been. I didn't even know that I was down. Anyway, we're back up apparently and moving about, and so we're just trying to kind of see if we can get a view of Hosana. Apparently the garbled update that we can get with the broken comms is that he's on this road here, and it sounds like he could potentially be moving towards us, but maybe not. it's tricky to really hear what's going on, and so no one's really sure if he is coming this way or if he isn't, or if he's just sitting. It is that time of the day, though, where he should theoretically be looking for water, and the closest water point is Treehouse Dam, without a shadow of a doubt. And so I thought I'd come into this area now to try and kind of check up and see if maybe we can get him coming across the road and towards us and our area. There is also some impalas on the northern side of the road, so I'm hoping that they make a bit of a squeak or a squeal, and that attracts Hosana this way, and that he comes running out of Little Gari. But at this stage, I can't even see a car, hear a car. Doesn't sound like he is very close to where we are at the moment. I'm hoping, though, that by some miracle he does arrive in this little general area. He might be on the other little driveway, or the other... Let's actually just quickly check, because they've changed driveways. This used to be called Little Gari Driveway, this road here, and I don't know if they've changed it somewhat, because the new kind of entrance is just up from here. So I want to just check quickly if maybe, just maybe, that's where he's sitting, is he might be on that side. So we're just going to go slowly along, just double check. I see there's a few kind of vehicle tracks around here, so it must have been in one of these trees that he was in with Shadulu. I didn't come to the sighting, so I have absolutely zero idea where he actually was, but I gather from all the vehicle tracks going in that it was somewhere in that general vicinity. There's no meat left there, which means that Hosana is finished. Kim, both really. They don't, I mean, hilly is often quite nice for them because great spots to have den sites, so really good from that point of view and good vantage points. But you know, we don't exactly have a hilly area here in Djuma, and yet we thrive, our leopards thrive here, so I think it just depends. You know, they're pretty adaptable creatures. Leopards seem to be able to figure things out in most environments, whether it be flat desert land, hilly rocky mountaintops, bushveld savanna areas. So you know, they seem to kind of know their way around and be able to kind of know what they're doing in most scenarios. So now this is the new driveway here, so let's look down here and see if we can see any cars. Can you see any cars, David? No, I can't see any cars either. Okay, well, there's the sign that says Little Gari, and so down there would be the new kind of driveway that comes along, and so I'm not 100% sure where exactly. My radio doesn't really want to work on that channel, so it's kind of bucking the system and saying no. But we'll figure it out eventually. I'm pretty sure Hosana is going to come north. We've called him and we've put his bowl out at Treehouse Dam for him to come back, and so hopefully he will. We're just going to have to kind of go up and down in this area and hope for the best, I'm afraid. It's the best thing we've got at this stage, the only thing we've got in terms of a lead. Tandi and Kalamba, I think, are still in the same place where they had their carcass, but there's such a big block and so thick and dense that unless you drive right on top of them, you're not going to find them. But there's no tracks coming out, so they're somewhere in that area. They must go for water at some point, and it's just going to be a gamble as to which water they go to. Kind of Twin Dams, Treehouse. Treehouse is very far, so for me it's either Buffelshoek, Twin Dams, or even the Dam Campan, Weatelapan, Hosana's little haunt. So we'll try and kind of figure it out. Maybe we'll bump into them a little bit later, but let's see how we go. There's a beautiful sunset in the distance, and I wonder if maybe we can find a good spot to see that before it goes down. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Taylor, who sounds like she's left the puppies and is on another mission.
We have left the puppies because they were actually headed further west and the boundary wasn't particularly far away. Now, just before we stop, I want to show you something. So we wanted to give them a quick look. Tristan is going to laugh because it's been laundry. Oh no, the mic pack, and then it pulls my hair. Where's... that explains it. You've still got me. Please excuse me while I quickly reassemble the mic pack, the little clip. The very clip that Tristan gave to me, because he's so nice. He just, you know, he will help you in any way that you need, even if it means giving you the clip right off of his mic pack. I mean, what a lad. Hey, Ali's one lucky woman, let me tell you. Okay, so Tristan's been teasing me. It's been laundry day, and I haven't been able to wear my blue jersey because it's in the wash. So look what hoodie I have to wear. Bacon. Have you ever seen anything more ridiculous in your entire life? This is an old hoodie. I've had it for a very, very long time, but I brought it out of retirement, and it was really just to keep me warm at night around the fire. But then laundry day happened, and I was like, oh, well, we'll use a scarf to cover up the word bacon. Hopefully I haven't offended anybody with bacon. But anyways, right, we'll carry on. Not that it covers it up very well. It's so warm though. I bet you all have your favorite hoodies. Seb and I were talking about our favorite ones now, and he said he bought some in 2009. They're almost 10 years old now, which is pretty good going. And I suppose things like that, they last forever. So this one has got lots and lots of memories. Right. Also, it's getting, because it is getting so chilly, we are going to have to swing past where Seb stays, because like I said, we both were worried that we hadn't brought enough clothing. I think I should be okay because I have the scarf and this bad boy, but Seb has only got his grey jersey and shorts. You are not going to make it till the end of drive, no. And I don't even have my blanket for you. I took it out. No, we will be swinging past. No, we'll just be arriving at Inga's, and Seb will run in and grab another jersey, and then we shall be on our way again. What jersey are you gonna get?
My green one.
Your green one? Not your sheepskin, the coat that doesn't, not that one, okay. The one that doesn't close anymore. We all have our favorite jackets. I didn't bring many clothes with me this time. I wanted to pack as little as possible, as well. I don't have enough time to unpack all my things before I get going again. So, thought I'd bring... My mom even has one of my jackets. I said to her, please can you bring my rain jacket? Because I didn't bring a rain jacket. She won't give it back now. Anyways. Oh, wonderful. Now, excuse me, Impala, we need to have emergency. We've got to get Jersey. You can just fluff yourselves up, right? It seems as though Tristan's doing the same thing. He's a bit chilly, and he's putting his taped up jacket on.
I am indeed, Taylor. I was just saying to David that it's a little cooler than I thought it was going to be this evening. So David and I have just suited up, so to speak, and put on our jerseys so that we don't get cold. David feels the cold like Taylor as well, so I've got to make sure David is all warm. David, are you warm? You're all right. Okay, excellent. Taylor says that I make fun of her all the time. I'm beginning to wonder, you must all think that I'm the most horrible person to Taylor, but I'm not. I wasn't even making fun of her bacon top. I was just saying that I don't think there's anything wrong with her wearing a top that says bacon, because she was saying that she didn't want to wear it because it said bacon on it and it wasn't exactly very bush-like, and I was saying to her there's nonsense. If it keeps you warm, and it's absolutely fine to wear, I think, and there's nothing wrong with the word bacon. You know, it's just... everybody likes bacon, I suppose. Well, not everybody, but most people. Most people like bacon. No, man. So there was a roller that just did a nice display, but it's now landed, unfortunately, and it's going to be very obscure to actually see. David, did you see that dead tree? Yes, up. Oh, there's one there, and there's another one that landed up at the top that was displaying. So there's a few of them that were kind of there, and it just did the most epic dive bomb towards that tree itself. But unfortunately, it was a bit late. No, don't worry, David. There it goes. It's now flying off. Let's see if it'll do it again. It's going off to the right. You can hear it. There it goes. There it goes. It's going to do it, hopefully. Come on, go up. I think it's displaying for the female. So you see, it's kind of difficult to see. David, let's go forward a bit because it might be better with the way. The route that it's flying is kind of towards us, but towards this sort of torchwood. And if I get round, it might be a little bit more open for David to actually track it a little bit better. There they go. So now watch this one. It goes up. Let's see if it's going to dive bomb down. Listen to it. Now watch it there, David. It's going to hopefully come back and do its little dive. That's very good work, David. Well done. Now it's not done its dive bomb that I was hoping that it would do, and it's there. Oh, there it is. Tucked its wings and kind of went down. So that's the roller style that they do that earned them their name, is the way that they kind of tumble towards the ground when they're displaying. And you'll find, excuse me, often when they're very vocal like that, that's when they'll send slightly, and then they just do this little tumble downwards towards a branch where they land. And it almost looks as though there was 3 different rollers here, and so I wonder if there's a competing male trying to vie for the female's attention, and that's why we've got a bit of a disturbance amongst our roller friends. There's one that's still left fluffing itself up. Looks very unperturbed by all of this. Are the boys not impressive? Maybe this is the female and the boys aren't very impressive at all, and that's why she's just sitting there going, oh well, you lot just sort yourselves out. Can hear the other one still squawking in the background. Now, one thing about a roller, it's a beautiful bird, but it's got the most ugly call. Byron, what are the rarest birds you get in Djuma? Well, I mean, there's obviously birds that theoretically could occur here that we haven't seen, so we're not going to count those. Let's go with birds that you can potentially see here. Pennant-winged nightjar would be a very rare bird for here. Narina trogon is a very rare bird for this area. Corncrake would be also a very rare one. I doubt you would see corncrake on this side though. Corncrake would be more along sort of the open grassland areas like Cheetah Plains and a bit more swampy. What else would we see here that could be very rare? Purple banded sunbird that Brent once saw, that's very rare. The golden breast, the golden pipit, they would be, we've only seen one in this kind of area, so that would be exceedingly rare. So there's quite a few. We get quite a lot of kind of rarish birds. Thick-billed cuckoo is rare for this particular area. See a lot more of them down south in the Sabi Sands. What else would be considered a rarity? There's, funny enough, the ones that we see a lot of actually that is very rare for the Sabi Sands is the pratincoles that we see at Chitwa Dam. Those are not seen really anywhere else in the sands, and a lot of the guys in the sands that bird will often kind of comment on the fact that we see a lot of them. The other bird that we actually was seen yesterday, funny enough, on Mala Mala, which is quite interesting, and I'm going to try find it for you quickly, that is quite rare for the sands. In fact, you won't see them very often at all, is one of the most beautiful birds of prey that you get in these areas. I forgot now that they no longer call it what I was typing in. So there we go. It's one of these guys. Let's try to find the best picture. There's probably the best one there. So that's probably the best. It's called a black eagle. It is a massive, massive bird. Beautiful, beautiful jet black kind of body with those white windows. And they generally are associated with kind of mountainous areas. I'm just going to scroll down so you can see its face. So look at that. Isn't that a beautiful kind of bird? Jet black sort of head and wings, and then the white sections on them. And these guys are not normally found in these kind of areas. I'll just show you the sort of drawing so you can see what I'm talking about. Black, and then it's got that little white sort of patch on its back. Can't mistake it for anything else. And like I say, generally around mountainous areas, see a lot of them on the escarpment and along sort of those areas to what we look at, the Drakensberg kind of section. And so one was seen yesterday on Mala Mala. It's the first one I know of that's been seen in the sand since I've been here. So very cool sighting of those. So that would be considered a very rare bird for this particular section. What else has been seen in this area? Capped wheatear, that's another one that's quite rare. White-browed sparrow weaver, that's also another one that's been seen here. So those are all kind of birds. There's a lot of rare birds that kind of drift through here, particularly now in summer is the time that we want to look out, because if we get big storms that blow in and a lot of wind, then you can often find quite rare birds in this section that come through, and so that's always a good sort of sign. White-breasted cuckoo shrike, that's another one that's a nice one that you get in these areas. So a lot of very cool birds that can come through now in the summer months, so you have to keep our eyes peeled to try and get them on camera, which is one thing to see them, but it's another thing to actually get them on camera. Now I'm still trying to scan out for Hosanna. Yes, Joshua, it is very good luck when a bird poops on you. It doesn't feel like it at the time. No one really likes to be pooped on, but a bird, when it poops on you, is good luck apparently. And like I say, it doesn't feel like it at the time when that splat hits you. And it depends what kind of bird, I suppose, poops on you. as much as it might be quite nice or good luck to have a little kind of starling or something small like that pooping on you, I don't think it would feel very lucky if you had something like a vulture poop on you. That would be about 10 liters of white smelly fluid that hit you in the face. That wouldn't really be that nice. But yes, apparently it's supposed to be good luck. I have yet to kind of see fruition in the good luck. David, when was the last time you got pooed on by a bird? It's also been a while for me too. I haven't been pooed on for quite some time, so maybe that's why I haven't found any leopards this afternoon. It's because I haven't been pooed on lately. Maybe I should go sit under a tree where there's some birdies and get some luck injected onto us. So far though, no luck. Right, well, I'm going to try and contemplate where I can find a bird to poo on me, which is a bit weird and a sentence that I probably would not have thought I'd ever say. In the meantime, though, let's send you across to Taylor, who needs no pooing on because, well, she's had all the luck this afternoon.
No, Sebastian and I were very confused because we couldn't understand what on earth Tristan was talking about, being pooed on by a bird. You need a couple of oxpeckers. Right, everyone, we're at the hyena den off of Philemon's cut line, but as you can see, there is nobody home. I also haven't seen any fresh signs of hyenas. No tracks coming in or out. There's no wet patches on the ground from when the hyenas normally urinate and, you know, sort of just sit on it. That's typical hyena behavior. So I don't know if this den is still active. We'll just keep checking, and then I think tomorrow morning, I'm on bushwalk, but maybe Tristan will pop past Aubrey's road and check that other den site. So I don't know if they've actually moved or what the story is, but there's nobody home right now. And like I said, there aren't actually any... No... Oh, hello. There's a low-lying branch. Do the limbo, Seb. Good. So we've got un momento, Sebastian, and now I can. Seb will put the aerial. Oh, but the bungee. So it's a bit.
Yeah, it got caught in the branch and then he carried on driving. And then
that would have been disastrous. Remember when James got whacked in the face by a bungee cord and it cut his eye? That would have been disastrous. I automatically just wanted to duck and cover. Seb also did that. No, you just never know when they're going to release. And then you get whacked by one, which is not particularly fun. Okay, so no activity here just yet, but it could just be that Mama Corky is not home. Megan, so yes, hyenas can dig their own dens. However, it's much easier to just use a burrow that has already been dug out by something like a warthog, or a porcupine or aardvark or whatever it may be. Well, yeah, they all dig burrows and things like that. So you might find that hyenas will just alter a burrow that's already existing. And they've also got big claws. Their claws aren't particularly sharp. Their claws are blunt because they're not like lions and leopards. They can retract them all the way in. They're out permanently. And of course they need that for running and things like that. So they make great for digging tools. So yeah, so they do. They'll just widen them accordingly. They don't necessarily always use the same den over and over, and they don't typically stay in one den for too long. There's quite a bit of parasite build up that can happen at a den site, which might encourage them to move off. If there's any other predator activity around and in the area, that also might encourage them to move off slightly. But that's one that they use. They use one on Aubrey's. There's another one on Gallagher Road, fairly close to camp. That's often where we hear the hyenas making the most noise, is in the drainage line. But I've checked all the old dens around there and haven't found anything active, at least. So we'll just have to keep patrolling and keep having a little look around until we catch somebody in the act again. So I don't know where we're going to go now. I think we're going to probably try and find Tristan, but don't tell him. I think we might try prank Tristan and put sand on him at some point. We'll see. Or if you go to Steve in the Mara to see what else is happening down there.
Well, thank you. We decided to turn around as the Mara Bridge seemed a little bit too far. James told me that we're probably still another 30 minutes or so. So anyway, in the darkness, we turned around and are slowly heading on our way back. Next time we'll make a little bit more of a concerted effort to get there, not stop for everything along the way, but that is the way it is out here. There's animals aplenty and views to behold, so I know that's what you're all tuned in for. Ooh, Ruvind, I have no idea. It's possible. I'm thinking, ooh, look at that. That's a big fire on the horizon. No caves, but fire in the far distance in Tanzania. Busy burning. Probably been burning for a few days. When I came in on Sunday last week, there was a fire burning in the east, or sorry, the west. You can see the lights on the horizon. So Ravinda, I don't know if there's any caves. I don't know. I mean, the makeup of sort of the granitic sort of mountain that we have here is granite, and granite doesn't normally make very nice caves. There could be some rocky outcrops or sort of overhangs that could have something underneath, but generally limestone, if there's an occurrence of limestone in the landscape, then you are able to see caves, but I don't know. I'll have to investigate and I'll get back to you. James, do you have any caves in the Mara? No caves that we know of. Anyway, that's a very big fire. It probably stretches over a number of hundreds of meters in the distance, part and parcel of what happens out here in the savannah. And the fire will burn during the day when it's hot, and the wind will blow it left, the wind will blow it right, and then it'll come back again, and the evening will come, it'll be cooler and the fire will be softer and will blow in a different direction. Crazy Legs, why is there always a fire in Tanzania? Well, the people on the other side, I think they burn deliberately, and they also want to attract the wildebeest back. They want to attract animals. So fire is something that hunters and gatherers have used for a very long time to clear the landscape and to attract grazing animals for hunting purposes. Whether that is exactly why they're doing it or not, I'm not sure, but it is part and parcel of the landscape. And the fire that burns during the day is hot, and then at night it's cooler. You get this different diversity and degree intensity of fire, so it leads to different species actually dominating after it. So that is an ideal kind of burn. During the day, during the night, places that are this big, you can allow that to burn. Down in South Africa, you can't really. These two things are too close together. And on we go into the darkening night. Fires on the horizon. Beautiful, beautiful evening. The temperature has dropped slightly, a little bit more. I'm considering putting on my fingerless gloves, but we're not there yet. A couple lone topi on the landscape. Passing the area we saw that Orobi. Not going to shine over there. Shame, poor guy's probably having a little bit of a nap. So I can talk to all of you about fires for weeks if need be. You just need to ask questions, and I will bore some of you. Some of you might be intrigued, but please, if you do have any interest in fire, let me know. I'm very interested in fire. I do have quite a good understanding of it, and out in these massively large open areas, well, you can allow the fire to burn because of the lack of human infrastructure. In South Africa, there's too many. We changed our policies in the 90s due to, or in the early 2000s, due to human life being lost in a runaway fire. And so now we burn for the safety of humans. Ecologically, that's probably not ideal. But out here, well, the areas are enormous, so you can just let the fire be. Different intensities and heats of fire will lead to different... Yeah, that's very bumpy. Will lead to different species coming back, and that is all what you want in a landscape, is your biodiversity. If you want one grass layer to move through, just the red oak grass, or you'll burn a nice hot fire quickly in the middle of the day. And if you want species diversity, you allow that fire to burn on itself, to slowly cool down and to heat up again and to change direction, and different winds moving it left and right, and the intensity will lead to a sort of more of a patch where you get multitudes of species moving through, which is exactly what the landscape requires, because Some plants are eaten and some aren't. And you need to keep some on the landscape so that you have habitat for certain individuals to sort of live in. Certain insects and rodents and some shade on the ground. Okay, still lots and lots of wildebeest as we come past our little pan with the yellow-billed storks. We'll try not to shine on them. Okay, well, it is pretty much pitch black here in the Mara, but down in South Africa, it's not quite there yet.
Well, not quite yet is right, so we are still fairly kind of light at the moment. But anyway, sorry, I was getting a bit distracted there. I thought I had spotted something off to my right. I'm actually going to have to start thinking about using my spotlight fairly shortly. It's gotten so dingy that I think if a leopard was around or anything, really, I would battle to actually see it. And so I would think, in all likelihood, I'm going to have to try and get my spotlight to work. Hello, spotlight, what's going on here? Spotlight doesn't want to work properly. Spotlight needs to be held on, apparently. So that's going to be a tricky thumb maneuver. It's got like a little slidey thing that's not sliding properly. And so if I slide it up, I have to hold it up. Otherwise, see, if I let go, then it... Stay on. On. It's one of those afternoons. What are you eating, starling? The starling has got something that it's busy eating. Oh, no, well, no, I don't know what it was. What are you eating? You're just a glutton. You've just swallowed that all before I could see what it was. Yes, you, I'm talking about you. Maybe you can poop on me for luck. I didn't like that idea at all. I know it was weird. Why did I say that? I feel awkward myself. I'm going to be like this. I'm going to be like this crazy bird stalker. They're going to spread the word. Be careful of the human that wants you to poo on him. Don't poo on me, bird. I don't want to be pooed on. Okay, good. There we go. Set the record straight that I'm not that creepy guy that wants to be pooed on by a bird. It's a very funny conversation, this. Like I said, I don't think I would ever thought I would be discussing these things, and never thought I'd actually use those words. But you know, such is the job of a guide, that you do things that you do. Things that you write. And eventually I got a 1 out of 5 visual, and so I don't think there's much hope of tonight. So we're going to try one more time for Tanya and Columba. I'll do that. Let's send back across to Steve. And
well, thank you. We are still driving. It is a beautiful evening out as always. James is just making sure that the IR lights are staying attached, because it is vibrating, and I don't know, how do you feel it? Everything is vibrating. It's the problem with these roads with two-wheel drive cars. They cause this corrugation on the roads, which is one of the biggest issues these roads have for sort of vehicle maintenance. If everybody drove in four-wheel drive, like most Land Rovers are four-wheel drive, you'd feel that corrugation is caused by people in two-wheel drive cars where the front wheels are constantly sort of spinning on the ground, and it causes this bumping or corrugation, which can only be fixed by regular grading. So that's one of the management practices that the wardens and the conservation officers in the park would have to maintain. Obviously after rain they'd probably grade, or what you can do after a bit of moisture is you could drag something quite heavy. I know back home we use tires or even big metal sort of railway sleepers. You drag them along the ground. They just take off that little bit of layer, and it makes the road nice and smooth again. And we love it back home when you do that, because the tracking is awesome, the road's nice and smooth. But it's part and parcel with having an area, and that's where some of the conservation fees that people pay daily to come into the park go towards. Kathy, well, I hope the wheels aren't going to fall off, but sometimes it feels like my ears just might. When I look back at the camera, because James has got these two really large IR lights on either side, and the whole thing is just doing this. Yeah, with lots of maintenance on the camera equipment as well. Big James is actually physically holding the camera in place so that it doesn't bounce off the rails. I'm not even going quickly, so you'd think it would be bad if we were going really fast, but actually when you go fast it's sometimes a little bit better. We should switch to scooters, Captain. Well, I don't know if we'll be able to cover the same amount of distance or be able to bring you such amazing broadcasts off the back of a scooter. We have a whole lot of equipment on the back here. But I nearly joined David, the cameraman's club, a little while ago when an owl flew out across the road and came sort of towards my face and then flew off again. If you remember a little while ago, David on camera had an owl fly into his hair. I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but it's quite a funny story. I mean, how many people can raise their hands and say an owl flew into their hair? Well, David can. Exactly, don't have as much hair. So I mean, if it flew into me, I could just bat it off, but it landed on Dave, and I think it got a little bit sort of, because he's got some amazing locks there. Dave, I think, is probably, if he can hear this, is smiling right now. We could call it the Owl Club. I nearly joined the Owl Club, but thankfully I didn't. It's quite a big owl. I'm not sure what it was. It was one of the screeching owls, possibly the similar one I saw last night. Still thinking it was a grass owl. David, I am sure there are some woodpeckers. I haven't seen any yet, but woodpeckers occur throughout sort of the tropical and subtropical parts of Africa, but in the woodland areas. We don't get to spend too much time in the woodland areas, but I am going to be doing a little bit more walking around our camp. We've got lots and lots of trees up there, but I haven't heard any woodpeckers yet. I haven't heard any of the characteristic calls that I'm familiar with down south, but going through the bird book, there's an enormous amount of barbets, and so then there must also be woodpeckers. And when you look at the number of starlings that there are in this landscape, in the bird book, it's incredible. And starlings and oxpeckers are both species that need nesting, whole nests, to survive. So there would have to be woodpeckers in the landscape, or there would not be the diversity of starlings and oxpeckers that we find. So that is just me going off of what I've seen, but I have not yet seen a woodpecker, David, but I will alert you all as soon as I do. I've no doubt we find very similar woodpeckers to down south, but I have yet to hear one call. Very laughing, high, cackling call of the woodpecker. I haven't heard the tap, tap, taparoo either. Okay, well, as you can see, my spotlight is out. Finally, the light is faded in Djuma, and Taylor is doing the same.
We are, but we're not finding anything just yet with our spotlights. So we're trying very, very hard. Now, of course, you can see an array of different creatures. I know Tristan's still trying to find the pesky leopards. I don't know where Thandi and Tlalamba went. I mean, this morning, obviously, we watched them finish off most of the killed, well, Thandi did that, and then left literally the scraps for Tlalamba. And I just don't know what direction they would have moved in after that. Perhaps they would, I'm sure they would probably be thirsty. Now, Treehouse Dam, not Treehouse Dam, sorry, Twin Dams would have been the closest bet to go for a drink of water. But Thandi doesn't particularly like that area as much. I've never seen her there with Tlalamba before, but she does like it a little bit further east and to the north. So maybe she went back towards Buffelshoek Dam, or they just went to sleep in a drainage line close by. So they might be around tomorrow. Hopefully they will, leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for Tristan to follow. But it was very nice to see the two of them. I still can't get over how big Tlalamba actually is. She has grown an immense amount, which is awesome. So glad to see her growing up so quickly. And then maybe our resident cat Hosana will come back at some point too. I don't think he'll linger around Little Gari too often, or for too much longer, sorry. I'm sure he's going to miss, oh, I'm sure he's missing home already and wandering around the Vuyatela pan, catching all the duiker and scrub hair. Right, so here we're looking for white-tailed mongoose. We saw one last night very briefly, which was nice. What about, I wouldn't mind some owls. I'm back on the owl train again. I quite like them. So let us, oh, so sorry, lilac-breasted roller. Oh, that gave me a heart attack. So there was a lilac-breasted roller sitting in the road, but of course the last thing that I'm doing is staring right down in front of me. I'm looking in the distance now, scanning up in the tops of the trees for owls. Didn't even see it sitting on the road. Sorry, birdie. There it is there. We'll actually have a look at it now that it's silhouetted against the beautiful evening. Yes, it almost did get awkward, Emma. It could have been disastrous. I'm going to get a whole bunch of feathers for my feather collection. Let me just reiterate, I'm so glad I did not almost accidentally drive over this very lilac-breasted roller that we're looking at. I'm very sorry, bird. I apologize. I was concentrating on the camera. I was trying to find an owl, but I should have been talking about you. Because let's be honest, you are one of the most beautiful birds out here in the Lowveld, especially with lovely long streamers. They're flying back towards us now, straight overhead. Lovely. There we go. And the beautiful skyline to go with it. It's funny, when we say skyline, you think of the cities, I'm sure. When I say skyline, I think of silhouetted trees, which is my skyline with stars. Ooh, what was that? Oh, I think it was a thickney. There was another bird that was just silhouetted flying, but hang on. Got another silhouetted bird, Seb. There. Got it. I think to the right, no, to the left a little. Yes, there it is. What is it? I can't see. Is it a fork-tailed drone? It's being mobbed. Maybe it's an owl. No, it's another. I think it might be a white-crowned shrike, actually. It's very hard to say. I'm going to go with a southern white-crowned shrike. That is my final answer. This is, of course, a level 3 question. #SafariLive. Let us know or talk to us on the YouTube chat what bird you think this is. These are the kinds of questions they ask you as you start to further your career in birding and you want to specialize in birds of a particular area. Let's see if it lands and we can actually see it in the light. I'm going to drive and follow it. Oh, no, no, I don't think we're going to see it. It's flown far too far away. Oh, well. Just from its overall shape, the shape of its beak, the way it was positioned on that tree, to me that screams southern white-crowned shrike. And there are quite a few of them around at the moment. I could be mistaken though. I mean, it was a silhouetted bird. So please excuse me if I have made a mistake. But what did everyone else think? And birding becomes a lot easier the more you do it. That's one thing. So you start to just recognize shapes of birds. You pick up the behavior, the jizz, and the way that they fly. So basically that's what they use, that's the word they use to describe the way that birds fly. They all have a different way. Now, hopefully that silhouetted bird, either whether it was the roller or the southern white-crowned shrike, flies over Tristan and poops on his head. I'm sure he'll be pretty thrilled about that.
No, Taylor, I don't want it to poop on my head. Supposed to, if a bird poops on you, it's supposed to be a little bird. I don't even know what bird it was, Taylor, but it's supposed to be a little bird, and it can poop on like my sleeve or something where I can clean it off. I don't want to be pooped on the head. That feels like it's not good luck. There must be varying degrees of luck when it comes to being pooped on, because I feel like being pooped on a sleeve or something, well, that's part and parcel, but being pooped on the head does not in any way seem lucky whatsoever. So please don't come over and poop on my head, bird, whichever bird you are. And if you're a big bird, please even more do not poop on my head, because I really don't want to be pooped on by something like an owl or a vulture or a eagle of some sort. Did we get an answer as to what the bird was, or is not yet? Is this still part of the quiz at the moment? Emma? Hello? Still a quiz. Okay. Right, well then we will not give away any details of it. I'm going to try find a screenshot so I can guess too. Maybe somebody can quickly send me a screenshot. I'll quickly check while I'm driving. Hopefully I don't have an accident because I'm going to spotlight. Kids, don't do this at home. In fact, any of you, do not drive, use your phone and a spotlight while driving. That could lead to disasters. So don't do this at home. But for the sake of science and for the sake of me trying to figure out what this bird is and try and be a part of the quiz, let me see what this looks at. So hopefully some of you have kind of tagged me in a shot on Twitterverse, and then I can try and see if I can figure it out. Let's try it quickly. So we're going to see, hopefully I've got some cell phone signal that I'll be able to pull up this picture of said shrike. Alright, here we go. SafariLive is what we've got to look for. Okay, hold on guys, sorry, I know I'm trying. This might be quite entertaining actually for all of you, but please don't try this at home. I'll feel very bad if somebody has an accident because they're on their cell phone while waving a spotlight like a crazy person in through the air. Also got to look out for animals because I'm looking out for Tundi because I'm hoping she's going to come out of this section. Latest, no new hat. Oh, there with Taylor McCurdy. Oh, Taylor McCurdy. So Emma, just confirm what Taylor thought it was. That's the wrong. She almost drove over a bird. Taylor, what are you doing? Don't drive over birds. You're supposed to conserve the wildlife. Oh, I'm trying to load them, Emma. It's not loading. Come on, Twitter. Work. This is the finding signal arm wave. This is what it's been reduced to this afternoon. There we go. There we go. Thank you, James, for sending through. Right, is this the right one? Have I got the right one now? Okay. Tricky she is. Interesting one. Taylor, did Taylor give a suggestion as to what she thinks it is? Emma alive or not? No, I don't think she did. Yes, that's what I think it is too. The beak's a bit tricky on this one, but I also think that's what it is. But let's see, let's give everyone a go and try and kind of thing. Yes, no, I don't want to throw out my guess yet because I might influence others and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to... Joshua, you say an ostrich. Yes, Joshua, well done. You got it right. You definitely have a knack for this. You are a level 3 bird guide for sure in the making. Ostrich is 100% correct because ostriches are, a little known fact about an ostrich is that at sunset it likes to go and perch on a tree, and then it just kind of tucks its legs in a little bit so it doesn't look as long, pulls its neck down, and then kind of folds some of its feathers from its back over its head so that it's got feathers on its head. You are 100%, Joshua. That is the display of an ostrich at sunset. So you got yourself a gold star. Correct. So sorry everybody else. Joshua ruined the whole game because Joshua actually guessed it right off the bat. And so now the quiz is over. Oh, hello Scrubhair. Don't die. Don't drive and run into the car, please. So, no, Joshua, I'm afraid it's not an ostrich. An ostrich is not a bird that goes onto a branch and perches. In fact, it is a bird that is always on the ground and is also probably higher or taller than that whole tree was. So definitely not an ostrich, I'm afraid, Joshua. But better luck next time. Maybe you will be able to guess the next silhouette shot. Right, now while you all contemplate what bird it is, I am going to send my answer through to Emma and see if I was right, and then let's send you across to Steve for his final word of this afternoon.
Well, how interesting the games they play. Silhouettes of birds. We're trying to get one, but they're all either lying on the ground or flying off too quick to capture. But it's been a great afternoon. Nice to be exploring other parts of the Mara that I haven't seen before. To get to the other side, the Inselberg sort of area towards Tanzania. I haven't been that far south yet, so that was very interesting. the mountainous giraffes and the ground hornbill. Great way to spend the afternoon. Some nice oribi. We're slowly making our way back. It has been really interesting this afternoon. Thank you from my side and James' side for your comments and feedback, and we'll see you tomorrow. And on that note, let's go back over to Taylor.
Hello everybody, thank you. Wait, what are we talking about? We're still talking about the same bird, Emma, the one that I had. The silhouetted one. Is everybody now partaking? Ah, the one that I was talking about. What did Steve say he thinks it was? No. Oh. Okay, so Tristan is saying the same thing as me. He also thinks it's a southern crown shrike. So cool. We're on the same terms there. Yeah, it just kind of looked like that. It was like a little bit robust. I don't know, just the way that it was sitting sort of mid-level on the branches. That's where they typically like to hang around. Oh my goodness, you are cutting me fine. Emma's going to do big stories. I think we're going to have to extend the show. No, I'm only teasing. Oh, look how cool that is. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. What is... I don't know what everything is. No, it's an impala. I got so excited. Sorry, everybody. I thought that there was perhaps... Oh, do you like that, Seb?
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought that it was a mongoose, but it was not. But Seb is very impressed with the skyline again, my silhouetted trees. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful afternoon safari. But please join us tomorrow morning where we might have all the wonderful things. A big thank you from all of us.